Hello, everyone. Welcome to That Level Podcast. This week, we're going to be talking about Pokemon, our memories, the games, the cards, the collectibles, and everything in between. In this episode, I have Stark. Do you want to introduce yourself, brother?
Hello, welcome outside the Sanctum Starktorum.
We have Josh.
Welcome, I'm out of the digital graveyard and into your Pokemon home. Behold my Chi powers.
All right, Zombie, as
What's
always.
up, everybody? Zombie JLT1 here, and as all of you guys know, I never go home. I'm everywhere. I am your devoted male stream whore.
I
So,
just like how humble me and Vince are here with our name tags. We're like just our names, and you and Stark are like, we're Elite Four. We're the
yeah,
best of the best.
best.
We are the Elite Four here. We got four Pokemon experts. Of course, got to give ourselves some credit.
Yeah,
Just a little
true.
bit.
Just a little. Yeah. Some of us may closet it, some of us don't. Neither,
Never
none of
have,
none
never
of
will.
none of us do that. I mean, I've been very vocal about I love Pokemon.
Hmm.
Oh yeah, Zombie and I we're doing. Hopefully, it'll come back the Pokemon Artcast on his channel.
Yep.
That was fun, but
That'll be
life
awesome.
happens.
Yeah. So what I wanted to do is I got you guys on because I know that y'all are big into Pokemon. I know P Mark wanted to be on this episode, but I wanted to keep it down just to four because it gets a little busy when there's multiple people here, especially if you guys have been on the larger episodes we've done. There's a lot of conversation. It's great and everything, but I told him we'll do another episode about something different. But guys, so for me, I started playing Think Yellow. I picked up the Pokemon Yellow edition with the Pikachu Game Boy Color back in like what 99, 2000. Oh no, I was thinking it was 99.
It
And
came out in '97, I believe.
well,
Yep.
the I didn't get that set until like I was.
If you got Pokemon Yellow, like if you got it like when it first was
Mhm.
like the thing, it would have been 98.
Yeah.
Hmm.
So I think it just had. I think I got it actually in 99 because that was the year I actually turned 18. So, but I had started watching Pokemon because a friend of mine, Jason, recommended. He goes, "Man, check this out. It's pretty cool. It's kind of like, these guys that go around and they catch monsters and they battle. So it's kind of like Monster Rancher a little bit." Is how he explained it to me. So the first episode I watched was the Beedrill episode, you know, and I every time I would like just happen to catch the show on, it would be reruns of that one episode. And it's like, come on, guys, I can't keep watching the same episode. I want to watch something different. But what was y'all's experience getting into Pokemon? What pulled you in? What was your first game?
All right,
What?
I'll flex a little bit. I watched the premiere, like the very first episode of Pokemon. I was watching that series up until I want to say where I finally just kind of went away from the animated series.
Hmm.
Pretty much when the yeah about the start of season 20, which was the Sun and Moon, I finally just threw in the towel. But as far as the games go, like very first launch wasn't a big ad campaign. My best friend like heard about it and he was like, "Oh, this is gonna be a great game." Blah 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 blah. So we went to a shopping mall, folks. I know, shocker right there, right? A shopping mall. We went through every store that sold Game Boy games. I got my copy of well, not Fire Red, but OG Red from Sears, last copy they had. He got his from KB Toys, which was also red. We were trying to get one of each, but nobody had blue. I played that game into the ground where it just died. It wouldn't even boot up. It died. I fried the game. So I had to
Wow.
start over with a Pokemon Blue. And I still play Pokemon games to this day. There are a handful, though, I play, and it's kind of like, don't want to grind, don't want to do anything else in that. I'm good.
Well, as for me, I I joined the high school band, and when I was in the tuba section, they all played Pokemon, but they all had Pokemon Blue. And so I talked to my grandmother about it, and she's the one that raised me, and she got me a copy of Red. And so we would play on the band bus, like going from, every Friday would be our like central meeting thing where we would trade and battle and see how far we were along in the game. And I remember it brought us closer together, as friends. And it was a fun experience. Back then you had those big brick Game Boys that you could barely fit into your pocket. And I still have it to this day. I actually had to a couple of years ago had the batteries changed out on them, but I still got my copies. They're not pristine, but I still have them. As for the anime, I remember starting watching it when Ash was protecting Pikachu from the was it Spearows that he
Yeah.
upset or something?
Hmm.
And I watched it up until him losing the Elite Four, and that's kind of where I quit watching the show. But
Okay,
as
which Elite Four?
the original,
Okay, so you began and stopped with Indigo League before
Indigo
Orange
yeah,
League.
Island.
Yeah.
yeah. And so as for the card game, I did start with base set one, and I didn't get a huge amount of those at the time because, like everyone's saying, they were hard to find at the time. Of course, being a kid, you don't have a ton of money,
Hmm.
but I would do side jobs to either collect a figure or some cards here and there. But that's pretty much where my story began.
Zombie.
Hmm. Well, pull up a chair, everyone, because I can remember the exact day, the exact time, everything. So we had just let out for summer break, and at the time I'm talking to my then girlfriend and just flipping through channels on the TV, and I come across the Pokemon anime on UPN, and it had just premiered with the Battle Aboard the St. Anne episode, which at first I was kind of like, okay, where are we in this series? But it made sense because that episode has a lot of different Pokemon for, viewers to look at and kind of get familiar with. So that's where that started. After that first episode, I got hooked into it. I was like, okay, I see where this is going. I like what I'm seeing. And so eventually I was just watching the episodes right from the very beginning when Kids WB picked it up. They started from the very beginning, continued all the way up to about, I want to say, Master Quest, maybe even longer than that. Um, so I was devoted to the anime for a long time. The game, however, I got into that after seeing the very first commercial they aired where the bus driver picks up Pikachu and he's got that busload of Pokemon.
Yep. Remember that one.
Um,
I remember that.
and I just remember being just in awe because I had already liked the show. So it was cool that now we're getting the game. And I was like, that's good marketing right there. You definitely hooked me. So I got Pokemon Blue first. At the time, Blastoise was my favorite Pokemon. So since he's the cover Pokemon for Blue, I'm like, okay, got to get that. Blue, my favorite color too. So I got that. The release year of Christmas that it came out here. And then shortly after, I got Red and then got Yellow. So all the different versions, I was just adding them and adding them. And I played the original games in high school with my band buddies as
Hmm.
well. Um, and we did the usual, things. We traded. None of us wanted to give up our only Eevee. Nobody wanted to, you know, give up all of our best ones. So we tried to find ways of doing that. Of course, I was devoted to this game that I had the strategy guides from Prima. Um, One of our friends managed to get a Game Shark, so of course we're gonna do,
Get
no more
Mewtwo.
trading,
I
guys.
mean
We're
Mew.
gonna,
Yeah.
yeah. And then,
Wait, hold up. Pause for a second. I got a question.
Mhm.
So
Yeah.
you're telling me all you people did not know about the link cable trade glitch to
No, I
clone
did. I
Pokemon?
did.
Oh no,
No.
no,
I
I
did.
found out about that though.
I did.
I did find out about the cloning glitch later.
Okay, because it sounded like you were
Oh
saying
no, 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 no.
at the beginning nobody knew this. I was like,
Yeah,
oh,
no.
really? Damn, I could have been
No.
making some hustle money in zombie school. Shit.
Oh man.
We knew about cloning, we knew about the Game Shark hacks, we knew about the Mew glitch. Like that's how devoted we were. I mean,
Missing no.
yeah,
All that
the
stuff.
missing no glitch. If we were in computer lab hour, we were busy looking up Pokemon tricks and hacks and codes, everything. So that's how much we were devoted to it. I mean, my friend managed to get a pirated version of Green, which was all in Japanese.
Hmm.
And instead of learning programming, we're sitting there in computer class playing that. And everybody's like, "How the hell can you read this if it's in Japanese?" It's the same in the American version. That's how.
Yeah.
Mhm.
So,
Because if you play the American one, like sadly, there's just slight differences in pixels,
right.
and you can generally figure out where the hell you're going.
Yes.
Here's the crazy thing though, and I'm guessing this was just out of desperation because nobody wanted to do their computer lab assignments. So me and my buds, we got made fun of for liking Pokemon, of course. Me, naturally, I didn't give a damn. I fought people for less. So if anybody had an issue with me liking Pokemon, we can gladly step outside the campus. It wasn't until we started playing green version in our class, though, that everybody decided they wanted to play. They wanted to join us. Then all of a sudden, they're asking us for advice. Well, which Pokemon should I use? Which attack should I use? And, it kind of gave us a big ego trip for a little bit, but I said, if you're really wanting to play, we'll help you out. So by the time I left high school, Pokemon had already exploded into like this massive craze. We
Massive
have the
thing, yeah.
anime, we have the games,
The
the card
movies.
games, the movies. And I mean, we were everywhere that Pokemon was. We went to the movie releases, got the Ancient Mew card,
Hmm.
all those things. Even my brother, who was still in grade school at the time, was getting into it, and his school was all about the trading cards. So he was asking me for trading cards. He was asking anybody he could to get, his hand on them. Everybody wanted the holographic Charizard. That was the card to have. So,
Dude, it
we
was
were
going for
all
like $500 to $600 at the time. I mean,
yeah.
it was nuts.
Mhm. And we were there front and center for just about everything. I would say that right up until about Gen 3, Gen 4 is when I started to kind of curtail off of it because I just couldn't keep up with it anymore. Um, Plus, I had developed a much bigger interest in Yu-Gi-Oh at that point. Um, so that started taking over my life and my finances. Um, and then I just sort of came back to it again after a while, and been on it since. I still play my games casually. I still play Go, even though that game has definitely been screwed up by Niantic.
Yep.
Yep.
Pokemon Sleep, I play that. I use that Sleep app, which is also a ton of fun. I don't collect the cards because all of you know it's a shit show when it comes to even trying to get a pack.
Yeah,
It's
we'll
not
get
just a
into
shit
that.
Yeah,
show.
it is. It is
No.
nuts with all the scalpers that are
It's
just that are there as soon as the packs come in, and you just
Mm-hmm.
see them just loading their carts up, or like some stores will
Hmm.
limit two, but then they have like four guys with them, and it's like, all right, here we all get the packs and stuff, and it just leaves nothing for anybody else or just the kids, right?
Right.
Right. It
Um,
happens even with the Happy Meal promotions.
mhm.
We get those from time to time, and we're lucky enough to even get a pack because they've already
Yeah.
been bought out.
so touching on the TCG part there about getting the packs. It's not even just getting the packs past the scalpers and everything. They print the pull rates so ridiculous. There's
Oh, they're
sets that
bad.
literally have nicknames of chilling pain, and like when you hear, oh, there was a thing for a minute where somebody was like trying to sell a stacks and stacks of these really rare cards from a set. I'm sure you've seen it, like Rainbow Muse and stuff.
Hmm.
Hmm.
Got busted out as he was stealing the cards from the printing because he worked for the printing company. and he got busted out. It's like, yeah, that's ridiculous. And you've got everyone now who wants to slab their cards, which is getting them graded.
Mm-hmm.
It's
Yep,
like, come on, man.
that's the
I
trend
remember
now.
back when I used to play the game, like the game, it was you have if you really liked a card, you get the money a certain amount for your deck that you wanted to use it in, and you had one really good one you liked, you set aside.
Hmm.
That was
Right.
your like binder card. You're
Mm-hmm.
good. You don't need to stress. Grading was like that fancy, okay, whatever
I
kind
mean,
of thing.
it's
Now it's the end all be all.
grading's ridiculous. I can't stand like, oh, I got this game graded or I got this graded. It's like you're taking it out of the inventory for people who want to play it, the chance and opportunity for that. I
Mm-hmm.
understand
See,
if you're just wanting to keep it and you want to keep it pristine because it means something to you, but for monetary value, whatever, you know. But that's just me.
no, see, touching on the video game thing, to me, like maybe Zombie doesn't agree with me on this, but like say, for example, American Gladiators, based on an actual TV show. You go through the hell of getting every gladiator to sign the card. Makes sense that okay, I should get this slabbed or sealed away, right?
Yep.
Right.
Good example. You're taking it out because you're not going to put it in the machine because you don't want to mess up the signatures, right?
Hmm.
Versus, oh, I'm slabbing this because some asshole on eBay asked 1,500 for his. I don't know
Mm-hmm.
why he asked 1,500. It's in a case, but 1,500. That happens with Pokemon games too.
Yep.
Like I can't
Absolutely.
tell you how many times on Whatnots, for example,
Yeah.
I there's some import sellers. I watch their thing. They're like, oh, we have these games. Anytime a Pokemon game comes up, doesn't even if they say we haven't tested it, instantly shoots up to $40. It's like you're a goddamn idiot.
Right.
It,
Yeah.
Well,
you're assuming the name, just the name association, the name. That's it. You're not thinking with your brain or your wallet. You're just impulsively thinking, I have a Japanese Pokemon game. Somebody's gonna pay me stupid money for it because I have it.
But
Right.
also in that same realm, though, you have to be careful on what you buy online because it could be a fake.
correct.
Hmm.
One of the
Exactly.
problems that happened to me was again, I missed out on Pokemon Emerald. And much years later, I was talking to my wife. I said, "Hey, I think I'm going to get that game to add it to my collection." Found one that was like 50, $60, right? Turned out to be a fake. I was so mad.
Oh yeah.
Mm. Yeah.
That's the other part of that with certain games. You gotta be careful. It's like I've talked to Monkey. Monkey's my brother. He's my co-star on my independent show sometimes. I tell him if we go anywhere, we're gonna start bringing our kit. Especially if they're gonna ask big money for it. They should be willing to open the cart. Let me see the board.
Hmm.
Absolutely.
I don't necessarily
Absolutely.
need
Yeah.
you to play it for me. I just want to see the board. If I see a giant black blob on that board, I'm assuming it's a fake automatically.
Hmm. Yeah. GameStop was notorious for that.
Yes,
And
they
some
were.
of you
They
some of you may
they
have
are
heard
still
that.
doing it.
Some of you
They
may have
Hmm.
still
heard
do
my
it.
story about, where I almost bought what they were trying to pass off as an authentic Ninja Gaiden trilogy cart.
She's
And I
good to know.
asked the
Yeah.
guy to open it. I said, I'm a collector. I do restoration work. I'm, historian in name only. I want to see the board because if it's authentic, I'll drop the cash for what you're asking for. One guy was willing to do it. He was even willing to let me do it because I had my tools.
Examine it. Yeah.
Yeah, I took my work to my job at the time. And then his buddies at work, they were like, no, no, we're not going to do that. You have to take the risk and buy it. And I
Hmm.
said, no, because if I have to return it and it's not authentic, you're not going to give me my money back. You're going to give me trade credit. And there's nothing else I want in this store. You lost me as a customer years ago. So, I had it out with the guys that worked there. And then about, I want to say maybe a month later, I went back to the same location because it was literally down the street from my job. Those guys weren't working there anymore. That whole section of retro carts was gone. So I'm like, man, I dodged the bullet on that one. And Pokemon games, especially, are some of the easiest to fake,
Yep.
Hmm.
Hmm.
down to the box, even. So if you're trying to drop some hard cash on that CIB copy, you really have to know what you're looking for. Not
Mm-hmm.
only in terms of the cart, but the box art. You have to know, okay, did it have this holographic display on it? Did it have this pack-in peripheral or did it not? There are all those little intricacies that will make or break your wallet.
Hmm.
So,
That's like Sark saying, he had a budget in mind he wanted to buy Emerald with.
mhm,
That was his kind of safe. That's how much I want to spend.
right.
Unfortunately, he got burned. He
Yeah.
got on. It sounds like he got on the higher side of his budget.
Yeah. But the problem is, like, I agree with what you guys are saying about opening it up and looking at it. But if you're buying online, like eBay or something,
It's hard to
unless that,
tell.
yeah,
Yeah.
they'll use
Yeah.
fake pictures.
Oh
Mhm.
yeah. You have to do due diligence of looking at their freaking sell their percentage and what people have commented on them as sellers, if it's eBay or whatever.
Mhm.
Hmm.
But I
Yeah,
can tell you, like Zombie said, Pokemon, even the card game, hell, even the anime and manga are counterfeited
Hmm.
Yeah.
because it's a very profitable thing. That's the dark
it
side of
is.
Pokemon right there.
Mhm.
People
Pokemon
making
has
quick bucks for nothing, and then in it, as the consumers, we get screwed on it.
and
Hmm.
here's what I wanna say to that point, since we all play, card games outside of Pokemon as well. And Vince, I have yet to fully watch your Magic the Gathering pickup video. It is on my to-do list because
Thanks, brother.
I was waiting for you to upload that.
I
We
got so
all
many more
know
cards I've opened.
Well, look, if
I
you get
have
a Final Fantasy VB, let me know that if you don't want, if he needs a home, you're just like, I don't want him. I don't even want money for him. I just want to give him away. I'm
Okay,
your
I'll
guy.
let you know. I'll let you know.
that's me. That's me with Vincent and Leviathan.
I'll let you guys know.
I gotta get my favorite summonses in there. Um,
Right.
we never, at least as far as I can tell, I've never seen such a card game being scalped more than ever
Yeah.
than
Correct.
Pokemon. I wasn't into the Magic the Gathering scene so much because growing up, that's just something that was never done in my neighborhood. To be frank on it, nothing that was ever done by white people was done in my neighborhood. Let me put it that way.
Wow. Trying to say
And
something, Zombie? Huh?
oh
Huh?
no, I don't. I take full pride in my nerdom, damn it. I got into fights over it. But growing up in my neighborhood, which was Mexican and black dominated, it was something that wasn't done by the kids in my neighborhood. So Magic the Gathering was out, anime was out, heavy metal music was out. It
Yeah.
wasn't until like Korn came out that then now all of a sudden rock music's universally accepted in my neighborhood. F you.
This is so
But
weird.
so I literally had to leave my neighborhood to go to any place that catered to Magic the Gathering, Warhammer, anime tapes in general. You had to go outside my neighborhood for comic book shops and collectible stores, all of that. So what I realized in being involved in the whole trading card scene throughout my years was that Magic has its devoted fan base. They're loyal, they hate the rules, they hate when some cards get banned or changed. I
Removed
get
out of the
that.
tournament play. Yeah.
Yeah. But I don't hear any horror stories about Magic the Gathering other than maybe the tournament scene.
Yes.
Someone gets
Hmm.
caught cheating or some shit like that. Yu-Gi-Oh! I never come into cross any fake cards that weren't intentional. Like I bought some fake Egyptian god cards before they got here. So, and the vendor was quite clear, yeah, these are fakes, which is why they're cheap. So, I never got scammed by anybody who sold me Yu-Gi-Oh cards. Pokemon cards though, man, the market is just so freaking insane. And I look back on all the years that I've been collecting TCG and I'm like, I'm grateful, but I'm also like disappointed that that's where it's gone. And Vince, maybe you talked about this in your Magic the Gathering video, but was it hard to come across those exact sets? Like when you went there, did you have to fight off some scalpers? Because I'd
No,
imagine there'd be something.
for the Final Fantasy stuff, no.
Yeah.
I just walked over to GameStop. I literally thought that there was going to be people there going for this because I know how crazy it's been with the pre-sales and pre-orders online. I
Mm-hmm.
figured there at least, but there was like 12 people out front, and by the time I got in the store, they were all there for like that whatever the newest set was that had the acrylic characters and everything, and a bunch of packs for whatever the new set was for Pokemon, and that's all they were there for. The guy at the store had to go in the back and pull out the booster packs, all the commander decks, the what is it, the bundle box, and a few other things. And I was like, I was able to pick what I wanted, and I left for the day. I was like, oh, cool, I didn't have to do anything. So I went back to work, and
Yeah.
it was awesome. But by the time I got out of work, though, they were all gone because I had gone
Mm.
back and went to go pick up something else I needed to get. And I was like, okay, well, they're gone. So it means that like the people that are actually looking for this stuff came later because I guess they knew people weren't going to be looking for it. The casuals weren't going to be looking for it.
Mhm.
Hmm.
But I mean, it's it's crazy because even now it's hard to find this stuff. Like I can go on TCG Player and go order me a box of the booster box or I can basically get everything I want, but it's still expensive.
Right.
The collectors. So keep in mind the Final Fantasy collector's booster box, right? That thing was selling for retail, I think 400 or 450. So you're getting 12 packs for $400. But of
Yikes.
course, you're getting amazing pulls. You have a chance to pull the neon golden chocobo, I think it is, that the traveling chocobo that at the time didn't even have a price for it. So there was
Hmm.
one that had been pulled out of a pack, and someone was trying to sell it for $200,000.
Wow.
The
But
highest chocobo I saw, not to cut you off on that real quick,
mhm,
was when I was looking at TCG Player, like seeing what cards were in the set for that Magic the Gathering, was the black Japanese chocobos.
yes,
Like somebody was trying to get like 4K for, and I was like, damn, if I open that, I will gladly just be like, what will you give me right now that's close to that number?
yeah, right. I mean, and that was the thing because there's only 75 of those golden chocobos. 75 cards, man. That's nuts out of all the product. And they're not
Yeah.
going to reprint it. So,
Yeah.
but those packs right now, I mean, a booster pack of the collector's stuff is going for $1,200 now. Quadruple the
That,
amount of what their retail were.
So
yeah, what you're talking.
sorry.
Go ahead, start.
I have two questions for Vince.
Hmm.
So I know we're talking about Pokemon, but
Yes, yeah.
with Magic though, does it retain its value outside like when it's getting older? Does those cards hold their value like Pokemon does?
It depends. So the way it works is that the more product that's sealed, the speculation on that stuff being singled is going to be more expensive. But as people crack it open, there's going to be more inventory in the market, so those prices are going to go down. But
Hmm.
the things that are in the collector boxes, if people just hold on to those things, the cards that are in there are going to be expensive. So therefore, like you have a potential to pull a, you know, 25 $25,000 card out of one box. Of course, it's going to retain its value. But the more of those are found, like the more of the chocobos are found, the less the value is going to be on some of these cards. But still, you're looking at like there is a cloud card that's worth almost. I have to look it up. At the time when I was looking at this stuff, it was. I'd have to look it up.
Hmm.
I'll just edit this real quick. If you guys want to continue,
That's fine.
Sure.
Well, my second question was, did you pull for the One Ring?
right, yeah, man.
Yeah, that the to touch on that a little bit. Also, with Magic, from when I was playing it real seriously, it came down to what the print art of it was. If they made another copy of it, another set, and how useful was that card? Like, was it have like every deck had to have one at the time kind of
Hmm.
card, so not many were kept in good shape because they were being heavily played, kind of deal too.
Hmm.
Vince touched on the supply and demand aspect of it. Like, the more of this card there is out there, the less your value is.
Hmm.
Like an original Black Lotus, yeah, they've printed an ass ton of them in other sets, but a very specific ones have way high value because some people were smart enough not to play with that card, and it was like the first iteration of it.
Yeah.
Hmm.
Magic's kind of tricky that way, kind of with Pokemon, but not as much because they're always doing like new gimmicks in the same Pokemon, but now he's a psychic type for the set
Or
instead of a
Right.
little
he's a
type.
shiny. Yeah.
Yeah.
Hmm.
Just to piggyback up what we are talking about a second ago. So there is a Cloud X Soldier borderless surge foil that's going for $387. But then there's also the Cloud Midgar Mercenary um borderless surge foil that's going for 529. So if you like pulled that both those cards, you technically paid for your booster pack. Anything else you have in those packs, it's just bonus. And that's
Yeah.
the thing is like you're pulling gold out of these things. So that's why people are coveting them because there's some really good cards mechanically. Because like the two different clouds have two different types of mechanics. Like the one that's the ex-soldier has haste, whereas the other one doesn't. And then like Cloud's Buster Sword isn't even in the commander deck. You have to find it in the booster packs or the equivalent higher end quality one in the collector boosters. So you at least can get a set of the main stuff without having to like break the bank. I mean, because even like some of the cards that are just the single cards are not too expensive. It just depends
Right.
on what you want, and the art's different. But like Pokemon, you're not getting that kind of like split market. You know, you just have one thing. You have the booster packs, you have the single packs, you have the bundle.
Structure decks.
Yep.
Hmm.
And
Yeah.
then, everything. And there's nothing like there's no collector set that's coming out. Magic is really tapped in that whole thing where it's like, well, we got the collector in and we got the normies that
Well,
can't
Hmm.
afford the collector stuff.
Right.
kinda, you're right, but I've seen some stuff like ETBs, certain ones say people hold on. They've made things like here's like at a GameStop of all places. I was with some friends.
Hmm.
We went to a different store and there was just like GameStop that I looked up and said, "Oh, we have retro games at this one on their new little thing they were trying to hustle." Saw this one that had like a really nice Charizard figure in it, but I'm not. I Charizard's not my dude, and I was like, "Nope, I'm not giving you $60 for that." It's like I don't play the card game, so that would be kind of a waste for me to be like, oh yeah, let me get this special set. Apparently, everyone I later learned was kind of after a little bit,
Yeah,
but
I can't remember which set that was that had that Charizard that was in the ETB versus in that you could get in the booster packs. Because even I remember when 151 came out, which I really wanted to get because it was the original 151 Pokemon. Like I want a set of that. It'd be
it's
awesome.
super stupid hard to find those. Even now, it's not even the like focus set
Hmm.
because
I got
everyone's hoarding it.
right. I got
I,
one ETB and I got one of the I think it was the Alakazam, three pack.
not to flex,
Like,
but I may have finished that one.
Hey, that's off. That's awesome, man.
hey, if you managed it, congrats. For
Yeah,
me,
congrats.
there
Yeah.
wasn't Pokemon I had to have to be like, I need that card.
Yeah.
Like, I'm sorry, my favorite Pokemon, yeah, I would love to have every one of his cards, but I've seen the price of some of his cards, and I'm like, nope, I'll be happy with whatever I get of that Pokemon.
I mean, okay, so here's the thing. What is everyone's favorite Pokemon? I know Zombie said it was Blastoise, or do you have one that's outside of the original?
Umbreon,
Honest. Didn't hesitate on that one. Um, the Blastoise is still one of my favorites, but
Hmm.
I'd have to say a very close contender for that same spot is Magikarp
Hmm.
because if you know the myth that he's based off of, I really like that they included that with his evolution.
Yes, I get that.
And Gyarados is just a badass in general. I love the fact that he's a hot-tempered sea dragon. Only the strongest can tame him. That's right up my alley. I'll wrestle one if it means I get to control it. So,
okay, Zombie. Then, speaking of Magikarp, is it Pro Golden Magikarp or is it regular Magikarp? Not counting its Gyarados evolution shiny stuff based off that.
I really wouldn't care
Okay,
because like I said, I truly love the myth that Magikarp and Gyarados is based off of. And
you've
when my
you've
when
seen what their original concept that got rejected, what Gyarados would have looked like was, right?
yes.
That like straight up that would have been the most horrific, out of place
Yes.
pocket monster ever.
I know. And I'm glad they rejected that idea because it definitely would have been an ugh factor. But yeah, as I've grown up and I've been hit with, life in general, I just started drawing more and more close to Magikarp and what he represents. when I was a bodybuilder, I still have a blue tank top with Magikarp on it, and it says training to be a beast or something like that. And that was
Oh,
my
that was a missed opportunity there. You should
that
have said, "Do you
was
even splash, bro?"
that and that was my lifting shirt. And whenever I was done, I wore this Gyarados shirt that has the word Thrash on it. So, I represent Blastoise, but I also represent, Magikarp because of what he represents.
So very, very water type, right? Is that what we're getting here? That's your favorite
Uh, you'd think it would be considering who my favorites are, but
hmm
um, I don't know. I think I'd have to go somewhere between either water training, psychic training, or fighting. I'd have to go with either
Okay,
one of those.
so it sounds like Zombie evolved this into your favorite starter, your favorite
type. Yeah.
outside the starter, and then what would your trainer types be? Now, I'm interested to hear what Starks is, and then yours, Vince, and then I'll
Okay.
drop mine down.
Yeah, yeah, no
The
worries,
last
no worries,
guy.
That's
no worries.
that's part of the reason why Bruno is my icon because at work I started this whole like Pokemon theme with some of the supervisors, and the supervisors were the Elite Four. So I had this whole plan for a Pokemon themed event week, and because we worked at a call center, um, every team had a different theme. Ours was ninjas, so we were the fighting dojo. And you could
Nice.
my team had weekly test calls, and every time that they passed one, I actually made a badge for them. I gave out like my perler bead badges. So you could actually earn those from me based on if your score was higher than mine. So that's kind of why Bruno's my dude.
All right.
Well, if I went with my favorite Pokemon, it's Lapras. Um,
Okay.
it's it's definitely one of those you feel sorry for it a little bit, but it's also a powerhouse.
Hmm.
One of my favorite things to do when I was playing with my friends or against my friends was to freeze their Pokemon and to watch them sit there in horror because they didn't have anything to unfreeze their Pokemon. So, like, I think I would be an ice type trainer when it came to if I was in the Pokemon world. And I guess my favorite starter would have to be Blastoise because, again, he can learn some ice type moves as well.
So you so you see yourself as being like a Lorelei of this group as far as Elite
Exactly.
Four.
Yeah, I'm seeing that. Yeah.
Have these elegant water and ice Pokemon. It's like, yeah, you think you got me, but wait until I just Sub-Zero your ass and then Gear
Right?
Cold you just because I can, even though you're frozen.
He's all like
Yeah.
Ninja Banish and he throws down Mist and he turns into Sub-Zero and he's like, all right, let's train.
And I'd be the kid in the schoolyard, getting pissed because I'm the one that gets that 10% chance of being frozen.
Frozen.
Right?
Yeah, yeah.
Oh, so we're playing Pokemon Sword, Shield, and Scarlet and Violet. Where freaking, if you're going to get a status effect, it's like doesn't matter you trained against it, doesn't matter you have an item that says against it. You somehow hit that micro percentage, baby.
hmm
hmm
Alrighty, I think we're rolling to you, Vince. Unless Stark's got more to say, and
So
I interrupted him.
yeah, no worries. So my favorite Pokemon has always been Kabutops. I love his design. He's a fossil type, water type. Water. I think it's rock water, but he's
But
fossil.
fossils, except for Sword and Shield, were all rock plus
Rock.
something.
To rock
Yeah,
something, yeah.
rock
So
water.
I don't know. I just love his design. I guess it's because like maybe I watched Iria and the live action Zero movies and stuff, and how the fact that like he has that hat that's part of his face. And
Hmm.
Yeah, I can see how you can see that like samurai
mhm, yeah.
style to him.
And then as far as like outside the main original 151, Cyndaquil has always been my favorite too. I don't know. I love that little bitty Pokemon with flames and everything.
That little anarchist mouse.
Yes,
What
yes.
happened? Arson. What do you mean arson?
Yeah,
Arson.
yeah. I was just happy and I just slept here and I burned the house down, but it's all right.
I'm
I
still
forgot to
cute while
turn the
doing it.
Cyndaquil off. I'm sorry.
See, that's the difference between him and someone like Charizard and Charmeleon. It's like Cyndaquil's cute.
Hmm.
So even if he does burn down your house, at least he's cute while he's doing it.
Yeah. Man.
Your Cyndaquil had a cold. Sneeze, fire blast out the back.
Like,
Whoops.
Right?
well, what happened to your collection? Well, you see, my house is man, my insurance would be horrible, right? My renter's insurance, home
Oh, let's not
insurance,
talk about life insurance, home insurance, any insurance in the Pokemon world when you think about it.
right? Well,
It'd
man,
be a
like,
more booming business than it is in this world.
I mean, should we really start treading those dangerous grounds? Because the ultimate question I'm going to start with is, how are these 10-year-olds allowed to live on their own?
It's called child abandonment, and we just fancied it up. Let's be honest here.
yeah, I want to see a 10-year-old go up against a bobcat or a cougar, some lion somewhere, and like, or a hippopotamus, something
It's
that's dangerous that would
it's that
eat
whole
you.
surrendering your child to a firehouse thing, only on a way larger scale.
Um, I mean, as much as I'd love to live in the world of Pokemon, it would be cool and unique. But it's like, where do they get their meat from?
Right?
Uh-oh.
It's got to be other Pokemon, right?
Well, if you remember in Gold and Silver, they were eating slowpoke tails.
Yes.
Slowpoke, hell, Farfetch's original thing was why he was so rare in the games was because he was considered a delicacy that was
delicacy.
almost
Mm.
completely. I mean, they in the original games, hell, if you read the original Pokemon Adventures, like Red, the one that follows Red through Yellow
Mhm.
Caballero, they straight up admit they eat Pokemon. It's not just your friends. It's like basically you can eat your dog
Yeah.
in the Pokemon world.
So
And I mean,
your Houndoom.
at least with Farfetch'd, you already got it garnished because he's got the onion with him.
Exactly.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm sorry. When I saw, what is it, Sir Farfetch or whatever he calls the evolution he got in Sword and Shield,
Hmm.
Yeah.
I'm like, wow, we just made a bigger meal here.
Yeah.
All he needs now is somebody quick get some Daikon and a Daikon Pokemon, maybe an Oddish, and we'll find some sort of spaghetti monster to throw in here.
Farfetch'd Fricassee. Let's
Well,
go.
he came with a skewer, right? So we can have
Yeah, but
Farfetch'd shish kebabs.
Yeah.
so
As
what type
far
of
as
trainer do you
trainer,
think you'd be, Vince?
I don't know. Um, Considering that, like, I don't know, honestly. Maybe some kind of technological thing, so a metal type,
So probably a
electric.
steel, maybe even
Yeah.
maybe even a rock ground type because of
Hmm.
Kabutops.
Yeah.
Pretty solid, pretty solid.
Oh, tops.
I guess I should out myself now since I caused this problem, right?
Right.
So, let's see. For me, I'll just knock out the types thing. I was considered a tournament gym leader at the last four West Coast Gamer X conventions.
Hmm.
If you know what Gamer X is, cool. If you don't, it's okay. It was an adult convention basically for the LGBTQ all inclusive community,
Okay.
but it was like into games and stuff. I was a gym leader there. I was one of the hardest gym leaders because I had the evolutions, and then I did dark one year. So dark, ghost, grass, those were my types. And I count evolution as its own goddamn type. I'm sorry, everybody does. But as far as like I already said earlier when you were asking zombie and I just jumped that one because I was last to talk before you asked it. Umbreon's my boy, like
Okay.
hands down, outside the starter range. For starter, I
Yep.
gotta keep it real with my very first Pokemon, Venusaur.
Okay. Balance type. Yep.
Yep.
But what's funny how I fell in love with Umbreon is kind of messed up. We can segue. So I remember I was playing Gold and Silver with my best friend. We were in his mom's car. She stopped to like get something from a grocery store. We were racing to see, the new evolutions of Espeon and Umbreon. I really wanted an Espeon at the time. You gotta remember the little how the sprites were for that back then. Not as anime fleshed out as they are now.
Right.
And I was like, oh, Psychic, because, was like the shit in the first 3 games.
Broken.
Like, next to Dragon, it was like an unstoppable force. You had Psychics, you were kicking ass. But So I sat here, I read the guides, what little bit of sneaked on free time internet access from school and shit. How you're supposed to condition it to get your EV to evolve into that. For whatever reason, no matter how hard I tried, Umbreon every time. Umbreon every time. On that same one, it's like, okay, fine, screw it. I'll wait till tomorrow then, because it's saying that the clock time will be different. Nope, it was locked in. So I was like, okay, fine. Turned out I had later on learning about stat calculation and all that. I'm like, apparently I had a very good Umbreon. I'm like, okay, well, shit, let's go with this. Sadly, for gold and silver, crystal, dark types hadn't really became what they are yet.
Right.
Didn't come good until he transferred a few generations to be like, oh,
Yeah.
you're a really good Umbreon. And of course, I had the craziest name because my girl I was seeing was like, we'll name it Licorice. And I'm like, okay, well, that works. We'll call it Licorice. Why not? Which later followed me into my evolution team. To any of my Gamer X people who battled me, all my evolutions were named like after a flavor of like sweets or something. So like I had an EV named Sugar. I had Lemon the Jolteon. I had some things, and let me tell you, my two most hated ones was my Umbreon and my Sylveon, because I would do like baton passing like crazy and just make a wall. It's like, okay, I took on Mega Evolution tag team battles and with another gym leader, and I was like last man standing battling the other two guys with Mega Kangaskhan's, and like, oh my god, is he gonna do it? Yeah, I did it like 3 times, and I got knocked out once because I twitched and hit the wrong attack, and I would have won the last one. It's like, yeah, 3 out of 4 is not bad, folks. 3 out of 4 is not bad. And yes, we had our own little badges we gave out. There were like little pins and stuff. I have some extras of the older generation ones I gave out.
Very
Nice.
cool.
But yeah, I did the tournament scene. I never went to like, oh, you got an invitation to go to the official Pokemon in Honolulu or everything. I couldn't afford that shit. I was
Right.
like, nope. I got to this point. Somebody else is going because they can afford it. I can't.
Hmm. But you got to
Then
go
I
to
stopped
the
being super serious and got casual because I saw where that community was going of not being so inclusive.
but you got to go to like the Toys R Us like
Oh,
events, didn't you?
dude, I stopped when I stopped playing the card game. Is when Toys R Us stopped hosting the
And then
Pokemon
giving
League.
out the free cards and everything they would do and stuff.
You would have to. How it worked is they had a booklet, little stamp booklet, like so many stamps for like if you traded cards, it was a stamp. This many stamps
Mm-hmm.
battled, and whoever won got this many stamps. Then there were little spots that said prize, like for a sheet for this sheet, it's like 3. You could get like a play set of this card. So like if the month was the promo Mew, or what was referred to as Rainbow Mew at the
Mm-hmm.
time, you could get a bunch of those. The problem became for them is when Wizards let like comic shops and stuff host it, there was no real differential of if you were using your same booklet, you couldn't screw people over and be like, oh, I remember last week, you only had 6 stamps. How did you get 20 stamps and now I'm giving you a card? Oh,
Oh,
I
that's
went
messed up.
to Tom's hole in the wall trading shop and all this, and it's like that was part of the problem is they
So
couldn't do it. Plus they had to give up retail space to host those days.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I think I only went to one, but we did go to, so what was it? Back when the first Pokemon movie came out. We Nintendo hosted a event for like they had a tournament there for the games. They had a tournament for the card
Are you talking about
games.
the first mall tour?
Yep. In the Woodlands.
I participated in that, and I got the actual people that would play on the 64s. This is where we got an official thing, and they had their little hacked. Like I swear, a long time people thought I was crazy about they were putting Game Boy cards into a 64 cart and putting it in the machine. People thought I was crazy. I'm like, no, it exists.
Hmm.
right.
Yeah.
It was like,
No, go ahead. Go ahead. I'll finish after you.
but how that worked was they did it twice. There was the first one you got basically pogs. Like there was 3 pogs you would get. You get one that was like just for showing up. Then there was the Brock one that had Brock and his badge.
Hmm.
Then there was the Cascade badge with Misty. If you got those 3, you had a chance. This is a problem. A lot of people would beat, the other guy across from him or whatever. The people that were running your section would either choose you to fight their representative champions, or the champion would pick you. Even if they picked you, you still had to wait. And if they decided they didn't want to battle you because they'd ask your team, they wouldn't battle you. And what you got was a cool baseball cap that said Pokemon on it. Not like, oh, Pokemon Mall Tour or anything. No, generic Pokemon.
Pokemon, yeah.
Right.
Man, so at those tours that was the only way in the US to get Mew officially, because they gave you that little pamphlet,
Hmm.
and we went in the line like 5 times.
You're talking about the second time.
Well, it might have been the second time, but it was the
Second
first
time
time.
they did a Mew. They did a
First,
Mew, and you got an official certificate printed out that would be like,
yeah, it had a
Mew given
number.
out this date with a like Link 820 or some Nintendo character name as
Hmm.
its original trainer to verify it.
Yep.
There was one other time they did it, had the holiday promotion that was badly advertised for a Christmas thing. This is like yellows coming out. So like you said, someone mentioned they get yellows like their Christmas present. During, we're gearing up towards the sale rush because we're in December. They give you this piece of the sticker sheet. You only pull one of the stickers off for your chance. It's like find Mew. If you found Mew under the one you picked, every card had Mew on it, but you only got to pull one in front of the person and redeem it. That was the other way to officially get Mew.
Hmm.
But there's no paperwork for that. That was just you got Mew. They gave you a time to come meet the representative that was coming to that store for your time slot to get Mew.
Well, they were doing it at the show for us.
Oh yeah.
And what we would do is we get him, we move him out to our the box, and then come back in the line, and we ended up with 5 of them, and I ended up giving them to my friends and stuff. So somewhere I have one of the certificates still of that.
Oh yeah.
But
My friend has mine, I think, still in his little safe somewhere in his parents' house. That second show, they went with like these little enamel-like keychains, still kind
yep,
of pog-shaped.
yep, I
They're
have those are the
enamel
ones I have.
button-like instead. But I know exactly what you're talking about because I was one of the people in there, and I was made an example of why they would not fight me. Like they fought my best friend, who kind of was a little more sadistic in like training his Pokemon back then. They fought him, but they would not fight me. My friend was asking why, and they said his team. My friend's like, dude, we have the exact same team. What the hell are you
Are you
talking
talking
about?
about, right? Yeah, man.
See, I feel bad. I got my Mew through Game Shark, so
Hey, there ain't nothing wrong with that. Hell, there's
No,
people
not at
who have
all.
Mews that got it through what was it, the glitch, the Abra teleport glitch.
Yep.
is
Yep.
that real?
It
It
is.
is real.
I
If you
did
go
not.
to my YouTube, my
Uh-huh.
Pokemon Blue run in my older videos, you'll see it in action. I did it. I did
Okay.
it. I got a Gengar and everything. And you can do it with multiple to get tons of different Pokemon that way. There's
Hmm.
also a way to get the all 3 starters glitch.
Yep. Right at the beginning with Professor Oak and Save States.
That one I don't do because that's just mean. No, I
Do you
did do
remember
that
what
once.
I
Go
was gonna
ahead.
say, do you remember what they gave out for like in which you got past the Cascade and Boulder Badge
Oh, dude, you
for
could.
the second
They never with
one?
the mall tour show.
Yeah, for the
They
second
never.
one.
The second one was I don't remember what. I think it was again a generic baseball cap that just said Pokemon on it if you beat them. You
Because
beat
I
your
remember
champion.
because I remember like they said that they had other stations that were supposed to be like the rest of the gym leaders, but they didn't have any of the other badges.
Nope,
And so
never did it.
it was like so we didn't even do it.
Oh no, it was one of those things they never did. They may have done it in Japan and stuff, but the
Mhm.
American run, no, it was just the 2 badges again. Because I thought that too when I did the first one. I'm like, okay, second one we'll be getting Lieutenant Surge and Erica. Nope, it
Yep.
was slightly better quality. That wasn't a paper pog, and a
Yeah,
chance for a Mew.
I have them somewhere, but like that was the only reason we both me and my buddy James beat the 2 guys we faced to get the tokens, and then we were like, okay, so what's next? And they're saying, "Oh, you got to go over here to go fight this person." And then we asked, "Well, is there anything that we're going to get like more of these tokens?" They said no. It's like, well, okay, well, we're going to do something else. But I
Yeah.
Yeah.
remember my buddy Jonathan ended up buying a bunch of because he was big into the card game more than I was, and he ended up buying a bunch of the Japanese boosters and stuff, and he was just sitting there opening them there. And it was cool to look at like some of the cards we weren't going to see for probably a couple months, if not six
If we're
months.
if we're talking about that time period, Wizards had a very interesting ruling that if it was an official Pokemon tournament, how they viewed playing Japanese cards.
Yep.
You had to have an official English copy in your deck because it was an automatic assumption nobody reads Japanese, so you can
Yep.
say whatever you want and they can't
Mm.
verify it.
Oh yeah, no. Well, for this was like he was just buying because we had there was vendors there at the one we
Oh
went
yeah,
to, and so he was just buying Japanese packs and stuff, and he was opening them and everything. It was pretty cool, just like I said, just to see cards we weren't going to get for probably a couple months or
Hmm.
6 months away.
oh yeah, that's still the case. There's
Hmm.
like as far as like going back to card grading, Japanese and Korean cards are more centered and have more like mint tens than the English one,
Hmm.
which is kind of odd. And I no one's been able to explain exactly is that affecting the market, value of these slabbed cards or
Well,
not? Because like technically they should still count as their own, but it seems like they do affect it.
hmm.
It's like it's one of those weird things. That's why I don't do the whole TCG thing much. It's like I don't mind collecting some cards, but I'm not playing the game. Like I left
Right.
when I left, and they came out with all kinds of abilities and this, that, and the other thing, and made it way too confusing for me to follow.
Well, see, that's something I was wanting to ask is, are the Japanese cards cheaper than the American
Yes,
counterparts?
I
See,
think so.
I think so too. I was just wondering because I see a lot of TikTokers when they open up packs, it's usually the Japanese packs and they're like
it's
bulk buying them.
it's cheaper, but it's cheaper and not as hard to get.
Hmm.
Like it's harder. Scalpers don't go out of their way as much as they do for the English.
Okay.
Right.
Mark is different,
You know,
much different.
but the other
So,
token to that is, or other side of the token is the pack count is different. Like
Yes.
some set English has 12, their Japanese original counterpart has 6. So you have to kind of homework a little bit.
Yeah.
Hmm.
Which I mean, Yu-Gi-Oh's the same way because they'll take cards
Oh
out
yeah.
and stuff. Yeah.
Yeah, for sure. And the tournament scene when I was in that at the very beginning was very similar where whoever was hosting the tournament, you could use Japanese cards because more than likely the places that were holding the tournament sold Japanese packs.
mhm.
The first pack of Yu-Gi-Oh cards I ever got was a Japanese pack from Pharaoh's Servant. And I actually bought that out here when I came to scout my college. I actually stopped at this game store and I'm like, hey, I just want to see what they got here. And sure enough, they had Yu-Gi-Oh cards way before we even got the English starter decks. So I was like, I want to get at least, one pack just so I can, show my buddies back home. Like, hey, look what I found. Pulled a holographic Blue Eyes Toon Dragon in that one, which was kind of
Ooh.
cool.
Nice.
Um, but the tournament scene was not only different in general, but because Yu-Gi-Oh was a different card game, unless people ran both or even all three scenes, because Magic the Gathering was still huge out here. Pokemon tournaments were on the smaller side of TCG scenes. It was mostly Magic and Yu-Gi-Oh were the dominant
Hmm.
ones. Yu-Gi-Oh is still kind of up there. I don't see many people playing Magic as much. There is a store out here that caters to Magic way more than anything. So I imagine that's where all of them still hang out. But there's hardly anyone I know or see that plays, in the Pokemon card game scene. And it was very similar, but it was also unique in that, like I said, unless you played all three of them, you got a different taste for people and a different taste of play styles and all that. And Yu-Gi-Oh was definitely more welcoming
Hmm.
than the Pokemon TCG was. and definitely way more than what the Magic the Gathering scene was. And I imagine, that has a lot to do because of its longevity. I mean, if you were there from the beginning, you've seen that game change so much. You've seen cards reprinted, cards banned, all that kind of fun stuff. Um, so I'd imagine just because of the age of the game itself, you've got way more different types of people playing that.
But
Um,
but see, like what you're talking about though, what Yu-Gi-Oh was back then is not Yu-Gi-Oh now,
no,
because it's like you have five cards. How can you get to those five cards as quickly as possible, right?
right.
But with Pokemon now, they have tried different things. Like if you'll go into the later sets, they'll do things like I can't remember what they were called, but they had like these pink and blue swirls. But if they die, they're instantly removed from the game. I thought that was a fun mechanic, you know.
Hmm.
They're trying different things to kind of pull more people into the game. Now they have EX and stuff like that. But I thought that was neat.
They're trying to go a little more with the RPG game sort material, like levels, like
Yeah.
form, and include things like
Hmm.
the forms. Like you can like with the last one I looked into because I was curious was the Gmax. You can only have one copy of a Gmax card in your deck, but in order to use that, you can't just be like, oh, Eevee to Gmax Umbreon. No, it has to go Eevee, different Umbreon, then Gmax that Umbreon. Like you have to stack it, and it's like okay,
It's kind of the way they did it with
but
the whole evolution stuff too. So, I mean, I literally haven't played Pokemon in like forever. I think just teaching my son was the most recent thing because you can get those that starter box or whatever that has like three different sets. I think there's
Hmm.
even
oh,
a new
yeah,
one now, and it was just an easiest way to get into it. But like I think like I hadn't collected Pokemon since Team Rocket, yeah, because we were talking about which was the last set,
yeah.
and then
We
but
are testing. We
Darkness
were all battling
uh
about
yeah
that. Yeah,
Darkness Ablaze was stuff that I actually started picking up because during COVID I was like, well, let me get my son into this. Well, we have a little bit of disposable income. We'll go check it out, and it was pretty fun. I think I bought two booster boxes and then like maybe two of the ETBs, and we pulled the Charizard. That was the main card out of that set, and but it was still fun. My son enjoyed the whole collecting process of it, and then
Yeah.
well, here's a
teaching him how to.
question for you.
What's
And
up?
I mean, anybody who's actively doing card games,
Hmm.
big question. On the Pokemon side of this, the bulk, are you getting a decent like return on the bulk of like commons, uncommons, the rares that are like have the highest drop rate in a pack, or are you kind of stuck with them?
Well, I mean, like that's the thing. I hadn't processed those. Like right now, I'm processing the Final Fantasy stuff because like I'm gonna figure out what my set is, the one I'm gonna put in a binder. Then I'm gonna have the cards that I'm gonna play with, and then anything extra, I might just give away or try to sell. Yeah, I figure I'd maybe give some to you
So
guys.
you haven't
So
really seen what how that plays out in your area
no, mm-mm,
Hmm.
not
for
yet.
trying to like it. Because I know some bulk cards are ridiculously good apparently in Pokemon now, and I'm like, that wasn't always the case back
Yeah,
when I
yeah,
played
yeah.
the card game. It's like, yeah, there's
Right.
a few of them, but it was never like, oh, look, he has your final evolutions ability, and he's the first stage of a chain evolution. Okay.
Well, that can be said with just about any of the card games that we've played over the years because
Oh,
if
dude.
if there is and Yu-Gi-Oh is my go-to for that because there were so many cards even at the very beginning that we sat there and were like, who in their right mind would use this?
Hmm.
Skull Servant, Frog the Jam, all these random vanillas that you're like, well, nobody wants these. We want, Summon Skull and Blue Eyes White Dragon and we want all the
Yeah,
heavy hitters that are cheap.
I'm just
Hmm.
saying. Have you noticed the basically the turnover investment? Like, okay, I have a for example, let's just say I have a card box, like one of
Hmm.
those card boxes you have for cards. You get you're into a game.
Hmm.
You have a bunch of bulk you don't need. You're not obviously you're not expecting the world, but are you expecting? Have you seen like, oh, maybe I can get at least a pack out of all this?
Hmm.
Yeah,
Are
that
you?
really depends. I mean, it depends on like because for right now, I haven't really looked into the play mechanics of all the cards, right? For just basing this up on Final
Yeah.
Fantasy.
Well,
Yeah.
So
from you, it sounds like from a collecting point, like you and your son are collecting the cards for a binder. So
Yeah.
not
mm,
necessarily looking to make custom decks. You're
right.
looking for
Right.
This Umbreon borderless, and then whatever extra you're looking to trade, give away, whatever. I'm just curious if you've seen it because I know it's based on an area. It's just how marketing works.
Right.
Like my area could be bone dry and we will pay you whatever you want for it. Your area is plentiful and they're like, I can't even burn this
Yeah,
without
because
getting
there's
a
so many
fine.
of them, right? I
Yeah.
mean, it really just depends on what you're going for. Because even like the commander deck for like Limit Break for Cloud, which has all the Final Fantasy VII stuff. There's a few things for other things in there, just because it's what cards are, linked to. But I haven't gone through that deck yet to see if it's something I want to play, and it may just be end up being nonsense that I need to take out and I could replace with something better.
Yeah.
Um, but yeah, I mean, so far things that I've pulled, I've had some really good pull rates. I mean, there's times that I pull a pack and I've pulled maybe three cards that are rares or mythics in there that are really good. And then sometimes I may just get one out of one pack. So, and then you were looking at the commons and uncommons. Some of those stuff can be repeats. Like I just got out of three other packs.
Yeah.
So
Right.
it does add up with the bulk like you're talking about, and depends on
I was
what.
just curious if you've noticed, like, you go to a car, because I'm sure you went to a game shop. Everyone
Hmm.
here has went to one. There's
Hmm.
always that section that has plenty of cards. Like,
Hmm.
Yep.
there's the ones they have in the case, then there's the ones they're like, we just have too much and we want to just nickel and
Dump them.
dime these out, at least try to get something for them.
Yeah.
Hmm.
I'm
Right.
just curious if you've seen, like, oh, yeah, there's a ton of it and they're not taking it or anything. It was just a flyby question.
I mean,
Yeah.
sorry, where I
No,
live, it's kind of dried up in that scenario. Like you can't just go into a card shop and be like, where's the hottest card going, or something like that. But also, me and my friends group, we don't actually think about that in terms of like how much is this going for and so forth. It's more like, well, do you need this for your binder, or do you
Yeah,
need this
that's
for a
what I'm saying
deck?
is the
Yeah,
excess bulk that you have that you don't, none of you and your friends need. Does that
yeah.
ever cross your mind of, okay, do I sell this to a shop, try to get something?
No,
Not necessarily
mine sit in a
reselling on
box.
purpose.
Yeah, mine usually sit in a box because kind of like what a zombie was saying, you don't think about Skull Servant, right? But now everyone wants a Skull Servant card, going back to that original set. So I guess I hold on to them because they might
Okay.
be purposeful later.
Right.
mhm.
Whereas with Pokemon, I don't even know if that exists anymore. I don't
Yeah.
even know if it exists at all to begin with because I wasn't heavy into the TCG scene. I used to like collecting the cards, but it I was more invested into the video games themselves rather than the card game aspect. And I don't know if Magic
Yeah.
also has that same formula where one moment cards are considered crap because there's no use for them, and then all of a sudden they either get um, support later or somebody finds a unique way of repurposing what was considered a dead card and now everybody wants it. I've not seen that anymore with outside of Yu-Gi-Oh than any
Hmm.
other TCG. So I'm curious for all you guys who ran those different tourney scenes or just ran those card games in general, even with Lorcana, which I have yet to even, get a hand
Yeah.
on.
Check it out. Yeah. I know what you mean.
Hmm.
I'm not touched Lorcana. I can just see that being a giant money pit for me and take up space. I already got the Digimon card game, the newest Digimon card game, which I've played probably once, kinda. Looks looks has a good mechanic. I don't know anymore because I stopped collecting it because people that got me and said we should get into this together kind of dumped out, and I'm like, okay, I got all this bulk of this game and nobody plays it around me, and I have no way to go. No
Yeah.
way to go. Well, nowhere to go. That's like, oh, they actively play this game.
Well,
Yeah.
let me ask this though. With the Pokemon TCG, isn't it where the tournament rules are after a certain amount of time, a set is completely dead? So like,
I believe so.
yeah, like the
I'm
original
pretty
set, you
sure.
cannot play it.
I don't I my knowledge of the TCG tournament scene is old. This is like before I forget who has the rights to make the card game now. I'm going like WizKids level because that's where
Mhm.
I was. That's where I went away from is that or not WizKids, Wizards of the Coast. Why did I say WizKids? But when they pretty much how the makers of the original makers of Magic made the Pokemon TCG,
Yes,
and
which is
then
Wizards of the
as it
Coast.
has since built off magnificently off of that base bones. They didn't try to go, oh, we own it now. We're going to change everything.
Mhm.
That's like where Yu-Gi-Oh has a problem of they're trying new things, but they're not cycling anything out. They're trying to keep everything in, and it's not working for it.
No,
Yeah.
Yu-Gi-Oh has tried to do like you can go to this tournament. We're going to play old school rules, but now they're
Right.
phasing that out because they want people to buy the new stuff.
Exactly.
Yeah.
That
Yes.
Konami's too worried about the bottom line on that. It's like I had no idea what the hell pendulum summons was. Okay, I had a vague idea of what Xyz summons
Right.
was.
Yeah.
I literally downloaded and played the Duel Masters free to play online game just to learn what the hell pendulum summons was, how it worked. And it's basically flood summoning basically. It's like you get these two cards, you give up two of your spell zone, but in any monster cards, if you have a handful of monsters, between these numbers, you can just summon them. You don't have to meet their conditions. You can just summon them. And it's like, okay, that's just flooding the fucking playing field. Okay.
Yeah.
Right.
And they had to give you an extra zone to put your fusions and stuff.
Exactly. Then there's that's the other thing. Then there's the what is it? What I can't remember. It's the little stupid framed card, blue framed
Mm,
cards that like if this point and this point is lit and has whatever
Link link summons,
across
yeah.
link summon. There you
Link
go.
summon. Yeah.
It's like okay, any card game tries something new. If it doesn't really work and they want to sell something new, they kind of phase it out. We don't just leave it there and say, well, it's there.
Right.
Yeah, maybe a play mechanic they don't want to, use in the future. So, I mean, like with the seven stuff, I mean, the seven, but Final Fantasy right now, I mean, it's a 3-year license with
Oh
Magic
yeah, they're gonna put
with
some stuff
Wizard.
out.
So it's going to be, I mean, this stuff will be in tournaments and it's play legal for at least three
Oh yeah,
years. So it's like
it's play illegal until somebody comes up with some combo that's absolutely ridiculous.
broken. Like
Yada luck.
there's the friggin' there's the jumbo cactuar that can do like 9,000,
Dude,
10,000 damage.
speaking of that, did you see when they very first revealed the Jumbo Cactar, how people, I don't know if you saw on your feed, people in your social feed, people were already figuring cards that existed to like make it ridiculous turn one. I'm like going, what the hell's wrong with you? They literally said
Yes.
it's a concept card. They're trying to figure out how to break the game.
Yeah, of
Well,
course. You
that
got to be the
that's
first one to do
oh
that
man,
now.
like Vivi's like that. He has some weird hold on. Let me find him real quick. He has like this weird thing where it's like add X mana in any combination of water and red with
Oh yeah,
X is Vivi's power and then activate only during your turn and once per your turn. So like you can start adding these different like things to him and then whenever you cast a non-creature spell, put a 1/1 token on him or counter on him so you're increasing his damage which increases this amount of like mana that you're going to be
oh yeah.
adding.
They're trying to make him play like a counter, but also trample, but not trample red creature.
Correct,
It
right.
sounds like
Yeah.
with using the green's notorious pile on mana on me, pile it on.
And that
They're
card,
like trying to
dude,
make him elf ball, and it's not where it
it
doesn't. It sounds confusing until somebody shows us how it's done, right?
right,
Yeah.
exactly. Because I mean, there's already cards in here that will work on making this even more powerful. There's other
Oh
stuff
yeah,
that's it's crazy. Some of the stuff I'm slowly reading about some of these cards. I'm like, oh man, it's
D
gonna
and D. Let's just put it out there. The D&D set that like I did some my friends that I'm really close with. They're they hosted their own little booster draft with the D&D set. Cards I've never seen. I was like, I had to ask them. I'm like, the hell is this? They're like, oh, it plays like this. I'm like, okay. I knew how planeswalkers worked, which because I went away from Magic for a long time. So I had a vague idea how to at least play a planeswalker and a commander. No idea what like the sagas and stuff were, and it's like, okay, that's interesting. Not super common, but interesting,
Yeah, you have the
right?
adventure cards, you have all that other stuff that's like,
Yeah,
what is this for?
Yeah.
but a lot of the crossover stuff that it's doing is because Hasbro is struggling. They're just crossing with anybody, trying to save properties because their original owner or CEO or whatever, who is why Power Rangers, we don't have a Power Rangers set going,
Don't get me
Don't remind
started
me.
on
has
that.
no idea what this master vision was. So they're just sending out, trying to throw things that stick.
Yeah.
Magic Survive right now is like, instead of getting people who know what they're doing, we're just gonna say, you seem to know what you're doing. Fans of we found a fanfic where Magic crossed with My Little Pony people. Let's do it. Okay. And there's people buying it. Oh, god damn it.
So
Yeah.
I guess if we're gonna look at this trifecta of TCGs that have been around, since our time, not including newer stuff that came out, it
Hmm.
sounds like Magic has survived. It owes its longevity to its fan base and its history, whereas Pokemon, I want to say, has survived because part fan base, mostly nowadays, scalping,
Hmm.
and Yu-Gi-Oh is a mixture of fan base, TCGers, because the tournament scene is still pretty hot with
I'm
that.
pretty sure it is. Yeah.
I mean, it's the biggest it's been in forever from what I've
Yu-Gi-Oh's
seen.
is who can whip out their cookie cutter turn one kill first.
Yep.
Right,
That's all
right.
it is. And then
Yep.
then they take any negative press as good press.
Mm-hmm.
But
Be, let's be honest
Yu-Gi-Oh
there.
though, Yu-Gi-Oh will get you on nostalgia though. How
Yes.
many
That's how
times can we?
Pokemon survived too.
Yeah, but at least they're
Yeah.
coming out with new Pokemon. Where how many versions of a Dark Magician do you actually need?
Exactly.
I mean, the Pokemon TCG was pretty much dead. Like it was on its way out. I know this from a retail standpoint and
Oh, I
everything.
would agree. I would agree it
It was
was.
definitely like on its last legs. Then Pokemon Go and the right age group of our kids basically being that right age and us being like, oh, hey, they marketed it, caught it, and the people picked it back up. That's what brought Pokemon back up.
Yeah,
Mhm.
It's
Otherwise, we'd be
nostalgia,
sitting here right
man.
now talking about
yeah.
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 Magic and Yu-Gi-Oh card games compared to what was then.
Well, see,
Right.
here's what's happening right now in the Yu-Gi-Oh world. They just released a set. Hey, you remember Dark Magician and Blue Eyes White
Oh,
Dragon?
another nostalgia set?
Yeah,
Yep.
they're in
God
chibi
damn.
forms. Chibis.
Yes. Mm-hmm. The chibi form cards.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
all the Toon monsters. Yeah, I saw that. They made tunes of newer monsters that weren't around when the Toon World thing was a thing.
well, that's different. This is actual like a Dark Magician, and it's just in a drawn in a chibi format. It's not Toon or
Oh, they're
anything.
doing that
They're just
special
they're
artist crap.
yeah.
Okay.
They're trying to
Yeah.
get you in that way.
Mm-hmm.
It's
Well,
funny because I never got into Yu-Gi-Oh, but I had my cousins were because I was too old for it at the time, and it
Hmm.
was just like I didn't watch the cartoon or the anime, and then besides I was like, well, I already play Pokemon and Magic, I don't need to play Yu-Gi-Oh. But hey,
Right.
it's okay you guys talking about because it is a part of the history, right? It's part
uh,
of this. They do coincide.
Yu-Gi-Oh owns its success to Pokemon because if
Mhm.
Pokemon hadn't came in with the monster thing, shown there's a huge attention established, hey, monsters, kids can do things like collect them, battle them, you know what I mean?
Yeah,
Broaden it has like more traditional animes. Even Magic was like, you're an adult, you're a
Yeah.
teenager. This is this. You're not collecting anything. You're not capturing anything. You're not making it okay to make them fight each other. They're your ally. They're a person an individual. They exist
Hmm.
as opposed to that.
What does that really
But
say about? Oh, go ahead.
I was gonna say shift gears probably to maybe back more to Pokemon. We
well,
should
yeah,
go. We
we
spent
are.
a
I
little
was
Sorry,
just
while.
sorry.
Yeah.
no, it's okay. I want Zombie, go ahead and finish what you got, and we'll move back to Pokemon.
I was just gonna say, what does that say about all of us who are here on this panel, and those of you all who are listening out there who either watched, played, collected, or still do about Pokemon? What does that say about all of us who apparently all seem to love glorified cockfighting?
Dude,
Yes.
we can go into
Yes.
the Monster Girl thing if you want to, 'cause I've evolved apparently. Like, I'm sorry, I will go down like how Jay put it in Clerks 2. I will be that guy that people go, there he goes, homeboy fucked a Monster Girl once. Like, I have no shame, okay? Like, half my current collecting is like for like manga and stuff. There is a good, you look in my library right now on my shelf, there's like, okay, traditional, good,
See,
good. The newer stuff, Monster Girls, it's like, okay, well, Josh has definitely got something going on here.
I do want to bring up a point that I feel like has been uh kind of walked around with all the points that we are making.
Hmm.
And um since all of us are in different areas, all of us have different levels of scalping, product availability, and such. What do you think? Because we've talked about this in the retro gaming scene. What do you think is really driving the Pokemon scalping? Is it nostalgia? Is it FOMO? Is it YouTubers and TikTokers? Is it social media? Is it a combination of all of them? What do you think
It's
is
a
really
mix.
driving it?
It's a mix.
Yeah, I believe that it is a mix because when you have people opening up packs, getting millions of views, what's he going to pull? What's he going to do? Oh, by the way, if you like, comment, subscribe, you may win these cards. People pull into that. They want to see that. So again, people are going to buy those off the shelf as much as they can to get you to see their channel. Also, when like this newest set, what was it? Shining something? The
Oh
one that's
yeah.
the one everyone's grabbing because there was
Mhm.
a
Prismatic
pick,
Evolution.
Prismatic
yeah,
evolution?
Evolution.
prismatic evolution. There was a
Yeah.
Pikachu that was going to break the meta. Well, we got to go ahead and get these so other people can't get them.
Mhm.
It's that kind of thing, and it's ridiculous because there was a
It
guy
goes,
on X who showed he had boxes of these things.
Oh
Where
yeah.
did you get these? And why would you do that? Like, think about people who can't afford that, or think about kids who can't get that now. Because again, when we were kids, you go into a store, you saw your favorite toy, you saw your favorite card, you saw your
Grab it.
favorite comic book, you grab it. Yeah.
Yeah.
Now you can't because Johnny A-hole has a whole factory in the back of his yard full of cards.
Yep. He's
So it's
built a
not
throne out of them.
Yeah.
it's not just that though. It is the manufacturers. It's the companies that produce this stuff. They know
oh,
that it's
they're
the
printing limited numbers on purpose.
yep,
Yes.
it is to drive up the hype. They know if they can to get the product out there, the scalpers are going to help drive up the demand for this stuff. So then when they do decide to do another production run of whatever the series is, it's going to go and sell Game Busters instead of like it may sit on the shelf because no one's talking about it. But it's scalpers have been around for so long, you know, like my dad and Colin and were talking about, it started out with like tickets for venues for music and things like that. It branched into
Right.
certain comics and other
Hmm.
collectibles and video games and toys. It really sucks because, us that kind of were there at the beginning, we could go find this stuff, because not
Right.
everybody was into it. But now it's like scalpers know that people are going to give them that FOMO. They're going to have that. They have the disposable income. They don't have the inability to like stop themselves.
See, that leads me to ask this. It leads me to this because it's true. There's a reseller nature and then there's a scalper nature.
Hmm.
Resellers, they're buying it because they like it too, and they want to help some. They want to sell it a little bit.
Yes.
They may mark it up a little bit, but there's no intention of deliberately overcharging. They
Hmm.
have a passion for it. They want to share the passion. As a
Mhm.
scalper is more. I know nothing about this other than I saw, like Stark said,
Hmm.
it was on TikTok, it was on X. Here's a guy offering and making it way bigger than it is, so it has to be bigger. I need to get all this because people are going to buy it.
Hmm.
Well, think about the Nintendo
That's
Switch, right? The expectation that it was going to sell like
oh, dude. They
Game
were trying.
Busters
There was
and
so much of an expectation that it was going to be like the first one, where it's like, okay, Switch 2 did not have a pandemic, people, that kind of did,
yeah.
people being able to manufacture parts in a
Mhm.
reliable amount of time.
And you see these guys, like you can go look on, eBay, and they have like these exorbitant prices because they're trying to move the product that everybody can find readily in a store right now.
Exactly.
Yeah.
It's no research, no education. It's exactly like Stark said. I saw X dumbass on
Hmm.
Twitter opening a bunch of these packs and saying, "Oh, look, I pulled this awesome card. I'll give it away to whoever comments in this next contest I'm hosting." Makes it
Hmm.
a big
Yeah.
deal
Yeah. Yeah.
without it's basically being stupid and in bliss.
Yeah. I just wonder from, because we've been in so many scenes throughout our lives. I mean, if we were to ask our parents about a lot of this, it probably wouldn't have affected them or impacted them in the way that it affects our generation onward. And when I ask my
Yeah.
son about why he suddenly wants Pokemon cards again, because at one point he was into Pokemon with me, he used to stream with me and such. Now he kind of faded out of that entirely, but at random he'll say, "Can I look at what Pikachu cards you have?" And he'll ask whatever store clerk that we're talking to. We don't look for packs. He just, if we're at a game store, he looks specifically for cards. And I'll sit there and I'll ask him, like, when did you get back into this all of a sudden? Why do you specifically want these Pikachus? And he'll say, like, do you have a Pikachu from 97 set, blah, blah, blah. He's got a collector mindset, but in the back of my mind, I'm wondering, why are you looking for that? Is that because all of a sudden you are back into it and you're afraid that because you fell out of it with me, that's why you don't want to bring it up? Is there like, are you scared about that? Or is it because all of a sudden you're watching YouTube and all these guys that are advertising, Pokemon this, Pokemon that, and kind of, getting the word out there and creating this artificial FOMO.
Hmm.
And he
Exactly.
told me a lot of it stems from YouTube. And he doesn't really watch PokeTubers at all. He doesn't watch unboxing videos, he doesn't watch pack openings, he doesn't do any of that. But I guess whatever he has been on, there's been some creator or somebody linked to whatever he was previously watching
Hmm.
that is trying to get him to click on that video to be a part of whatever that YouTuber's doing, whether it's unboxings and what have you. So I wonder if, one, are we being impacted by FOMO? And if we are, does it affect us in a different way than it does younger generation? Or are we really being impacted in any way whatsoever? And the only ones that really are either those that are in it for the hobby or
Hmm.
those who are trying to get into the hobby.
Well, and then you think about like, so going back to the Final Fantasy collection, right? Like, I wanted this because I'm a Final Fantasy fan, right? I love the
Yeah.
Hmm.
series. I love every game. And this is like speaking right up my alley because I used to play Magic. And it's like if I missed out, whatever. But I would have been pissed because it's like, I have the money, but I'm not going to go and blow it to pay exorbitant amount of prices. If I can get a retail, I'm happy.
Yeah.
But I don't necessarily ever have FOMO for me. It's just like if I want something, I'm going to try to get it. And if I can, it's whatever. I'll wait to see if I can get it later. But
Mhm.
like I'm not going to die if I can't have this game or something. But I know that there's people that we know or people in the community or people just in general that do have that thing. Because there's no reason why someone should go and pay $1,200 for a booster pack. I
Hmm.
mean, I get it. The investment's there if you're investing, and that's what you're investing in instead of putting it in stocks, because in 10 years, that thing could be, $3,500 or more. Um, but when you're out there, like, I don't know, I just don't, I get it. There's people out there that make a lot of money that want to get something for their kids, and they don't care how they do it, as long as they do it for their kids, which could be at a detriment to their child because it means that their parent probably buys them
See,
everything and they're
Yeah.
just spoiled. But
Yeah.
then again, there could be a parent out there that's like, you know what, I worked really hard. I got this bonus. I really want to do this something for nice for my child. and they do give into that like FOMO or the opportunity, right? Because it's like you're not gonna miss out for certain things, but you may not miss out for the opportunity to be able to get something for your kid and make their freaking whole world because you were able
That's
to get him a Switch.
situational,
Yeah,
Yeah.
right.
as
Because I,
opposed to what we're saying is just doing it to do it is
Correct. Yeah.
different than a situation where you're
Hmm.
feeling like, okay, as a parent, I don't always have this extra income. They want this, but now you're questioning, do they legitimately want it, or is it because they saw some TikToker or something making a big deal out of it?
Exactly.
Yeah.
mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I mean, that's like weighted packs. People now weigh their unopened packs,
Well,
and then they'll market like older
that,
packs. I've seen, like we were talking about when we were doing sound tests, basically, people that found a blister pack of Pokemon gym leaders or whatever. They weighed it, so there should be a guaranteed foil card. We don't know if it's going to be the number one most wanted foil, but it's guaranteed you're going to get a foil card. I went
Hmm.
to a card shop. I left this card shop, okay, with my friends. It was a new shop relatively close to my house. And I'm like, oh, cool, a new card shop we can put in the rotation when we go out, have a little extra money. Right in the case, there's two boxes, same set, one for one price, one for other. The one with the other price is more because they weighed their packs. I'm like, not doing any business with these people. They're weighing
mm-hmm.
their cards for their seals. So anything that's not saying weighed, I guarantee you it's, oh, we just opened it my ass. You probably opened it, refilled it with the stuff that's not weighted. That's why you have a full case of all these rare cards now because you opened all the weighed packs.
There's
And you're just
already
trying to be like, oh,
scams.
this one's not weighed. This one's underweight. So
Yeah.
it
Well,
must
that's
not have a card everybody's going to want.
well, that's something I was going to say is like if you wanted to open an original Blue Eyes White Dragon first edition, do you know how much you're going to pay for an unopened pack?
Right.
I'm going to say somewhere in the 1500 range.
Somewhere close to that. Yeah. Now that's
Hmm.
just a chance. You don't
Yeah.
know if you're going to get something good or not. It may be an $18 card. It may be 1,000 or more, but it's a chance. And that's
Yeah.
ridiculous. I
Yeah,
would rather, going back to what the original question was, I would rather sit there and let a scalper sit with it. You've wasted your
exactly.
money. Congratulations. I don't
Yeah.
have to have this, but I guarantee
Exactly.
15 years down the line, 20 years down the line, I'm going to pick that up for next to nothing because
Hmm.
it's no longer valuable to you, at least.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Um, so two things, right? Going off of what Josh said about the fact that, some stores may go, they've weighed it and they took out the cards and they refilled it, resealed it, and trying to sell it off as some kind of like, oh, it's legit pack. I had a instance where I went to a flea market, and this was before I was trying to replace my copy of Chrono Trigger. Um, they had this game store somewhere at a flea market had a pristine copy of Chrono Trigger. I was like, man, and they were going to sell it for like I think a 119. I was like, I could do that. That's pretty good for what it was at the time. And I was talking to the guy, and I said he showed it to me, and he goes, "Oh yeah, this is a we replaced the cart part of it."
Hmm.
And he goes, because the one we had was burned, but the chipset wasn't damaged. And I'm like, nope. I'm like, you can't do that. Like, just, I mean, I don't know. It's
That's
super.
not being transparent at
No, it's
all.
not
Yeah.
because it
It's
was like
not.
they had that part and then they had the other part under the table. So you're, but the other thing is that it's kind of sad because it takes the fun out of what we're doing, collecting and everything. But in another turn, this is almost like gambling. The things we complain about with like like cosmetics or paid to win or like the loot boxes,
Hmm.
that's what these are. You have this,
It
you
is.
open them up and you're
It's gambling.
yeah.
At the
Yeah.
end of the day, it is gambling.
Hmm.
Well, let me ask you this then. Do you have the same passion about digital cards? Because I know a lot of things are going digital. We have Pokemon Pocket now, same Pokemon cards, just now digital. Would
Right.
you have the same fervor as physical cards?
Nice word usage,
When
by
it
the way.
comes to digital, if I can play test a deck, or even like I play White Schwartz, really expensive game. Like most of my card decks are considered budget, but if I can play with a set that I will never get because it's hundreds of dollars. It was early release, so it wasn't very popular here yet. They don't make the cards anymore. Cool, I will play it for testing a deck, playing that kind of thing. Cool. Being obsessive where I'm giving a fake card game physical money for cards I can't touch, feel, play against somebody across the room from me? No, absolutely not.
So what do you think about on the bouncing off that? What do you think about playing with proxies? So like say you do have a card that's worth a lot of money, but you want to play it, but you don't want to put it in your deck because you don't want to ruin it. So you get
As a person growing up playing card games with proxies and stuff like that,
Mhm.
to like before these digital cards where you could look in like a card
In
magazine
a
that showed the
gallery.
card and
Yeah.
everything.
Yeah.
Again, play testing a deck, because then you're like going, okay, that's a $20 card right now because it's brand new and everybody's after it. Is it worth me trying to spend 60, 40, 80, whatever, because whatever the card limit in the game is, and I need this many copies of it?
Hmm.
Proxies, they're okay. In the official tournament setting, not so much. I have a problem because it's like, how not everybody's going to know exactly what have that same knowledge you do.
True.
Like, you shouldn't be able to go, oh, look, my Beedrill does 80 damage and sleep stuns and all your shit on your bench. No, that's not right, because maybe that is a real card, but I haven't seen it. The judge may not have seen it. You know what I mean? That's an
Mm-hmm.
assumption.
Yeah. Well, and especially if you're not very transparent about it to people that you're playing in a
Exactly.
tournament, that could be a problem. But I mean, as far as general play, and as long as hey, I have
Oh,
this.
you and your buds, man. As long as
Yeah,
they know, they can
Yeah.
stomp you out if they find out you're lying. It's like, we
exactly.
know where you live. We know where you play.
See, and that was the tourney circle for a lot of us, because when Yu-Gi-Oh was still in its infancy, and even up to, I would say, for me, I would say at least almost 10, maybe 12 years ago was when I was really hardcore still into the game. Um, my buddies and I would get together and we would test out decks that way. I'd say, okay, let me test it on a casual play level, and then let me test it on a tourney play level. So
Mhm.
that way I can gauge how effective my strategy and my deck overall is.
Mm-hmm.
And so being able to do that with friends before I hit the tourney scene helped me understand, okay, do I really need to drop $40 on that one card to make this work, or is it good overall?
Yeah.
And
Exactly.
then the question becomes, okay, I know that that card is worth 40 to $60, but I can get a booster box for $60. Do I run the risk of dropping $60 on a booster box and not even come close to getting that card I need? Or do I drop what they're asking for just that single card?
Exactly.
Exactly.
As
Yeah.
as someone who's currently doing that, just buy the damn card.
Oh no, that was like a while back. Zombie was talking to me, building Yu-Gi-Oh decks for company and stuff, like based off characters, and he was asking me my opinion, and I'm like, okay, how much is the card? How badly do you need that card?
Mm-hmm.
How is it? Is it cheaper? Cheaper? And do you feel like rolling them dice?
Yeah.
But
Because I've been burnt by booster boxes. I don't know if
Mm-hmm.
anybody else has. I have.
oh, I've been burned. We've all been burned on that.
Yes.
And
Have been.
the last time I vowed that I wasn't gonna do that anymore was when the newest Yu-Gi-Oh set was out. This is when we were getting the vampire cards for the very first time. And I dropped the money to get the booster box because I wanted at least one of every vampire card and I wanted to get the whole set. Well,
Yep.
I must have got like two or three reprints of just your average card.
Yep.
So I was like, well, son of a bitch, I
You
barely
did not
got
get the
anything
lucky box.
good.
You got the
Yeah,
unlucky
yeah,
box.
the
Yeah.
unlucky box.
So I was curious about that with this whole Magic and the FF7 crossover and what that's gonna do. Um, but you don't even get that with Pokemon anymore because nowadays you're lucky enough to even get a set.
No, yeah.
The booster box that Vince had sent me from Paldean Fates, I was even surprised how he managed to get a set of those because again, scalping on the rise, like you can't find it
Oh,
cheap
dude,
anywhere.
Mm-hmm.
that's
Well,
bringing up the fact that they add things like secret rares, gold rares, and all this too.
yep.
That's like makes it even worse. So it's like if you like,
You're
for
maybe
example, Vince
guaranteed to
said
get
him and his
one in a
son are
box.
collecting.
Maybe.
His son took an interest. He's joint venture, just trying to get the set.
Hmm.
Is it going to be eventually? Unfortunately, you're going to run into that wall. Do we keep buying boxes, or do we just say, okay, we're saving up, son, and we're going to just buy one card straight out just for the sure thing,
But that
or we just
also
say we're good, stop here,
but that
Yeah.
and
also
wait?
correlates to what Stark had said earlier about how many copies of Dark Magician do you need? You
Mm-hmm.
know, is it even worth it to drop the money to try to get those variants?
I mean,
Exactly.
So,
I'm sure there's certain variants that people want because that's exactly what happened to me. There's a new set that's called Stampede. It's a gold set, and there
mhm.
is a manga version of the Dark Magician. I would love to have it, but again, you have to weigh your options. There's 300 over 300 cards in that set, four different rarities. You may get that card or you may not, or just go online and pay $53 for the card or 109 for a chance at a box.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And
Exactly.
then, which also correlates to what you had said, Josh, about, the with Vince buying this box set, is he already seeing like a potential market, or could he make his money back on any of the extras?
Mhm.
You know, can you do that with, Pokemon the way that it is now? Or,
You
I mean,
can, but you have to be quick.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think the more the quicker you are to acquire the set when it first releases, you're going to get better odds than if you wait for it to be
It's
stagnant.
like, God bless her soul. I have a best friend who is like a sister to me. She in Magic, we went to a game shop. She had very little money on her expendable income for the day. So she bought a pack because then she wanted to make sure we were stopping to get like a special tea drink place she wanted us to try with her. She got this borderless, I forget what it was, like this I think it was for the furry set. That's what I remember. It was like it brought in a lot of furry characters. She got
Okay.
this card that was worth like 300 something dollars right off the bat.
Wow.
And she struggled because she wanted to keep it because she liked the card. But at the end of the day, that was we could go a little further getting some more stuff. Not a card I'm going to play with, and I'll have a little bit over to maybe pay for gas or lunch or something at work. Yeah, she flipped that card, and I didn't blame her. I'd be like,
Yeah. I
yeah.
mean,
yeah, that's you could literally either say, "Fuck it, I'm buying a booster box now" at that rate, right?
and you get the chance
Right.
to pull that card again, and you
Exactly.
then you could just
But
have that extra money that instead of buying another booster box.
exactly, that's like Stark saying, you got to look at how bad do you want that version of a card,
Hmm.
right?
Yeah.
Like, is it gonna go cheaper, or is it if I wait long enough, or do I really need it right now? It's that instant gratification factor that you have to weigh.
Well, going
So,
back to what Vince said, if the original holograph Charizard was $500 to $600, how much does it go for now? I don't
mhm.
think it's that price.
Which version?
First edition.
The
I can look it up on
Yeah,
TCG.
first edition
There's a
print.
shadowless and there's a shadow version.
Yeah,
That's
that's
true.
true.
That's
Yeah.
right. Yeah.
There's a first edition essentially print mistake one that's like is what everyone thinks they're getting when they get a first edition Charizard. That is not the case there.
Well, my second question would be, what condition do you want it in too? Because that also drops the price.
Yeah, it's a matter of do you want it graded or not too.
Hmm.
Are you gonna
Mhm.
play with it or are you just gonna put it away to
But
look
Do you
one,
at?
just want to have it? Yeah.
but one thing I was going to mention about, and I pulled it up real quick to look at it, how quickly Pokemon cards come out now. So
Oh
in
yeah.
2024, we've had one, two, three, four, five, six sets come out within 3 to 2 months of each other.
Yeah.
And it's like boom, boom, boom. How do you keep
Hmm.
up with all that?
I don't even know if you
It's trying
can.
to do the
Yeah.
fever of um Yu-Gi-Oh, where it's fast paced. The player scene has to have new product right away, right away, right away.
But as a
Yeah, but
collector, sorry,
Yu-Gi-Oh
go ahead.
doesn't even move that fast though.
No.
But it's trying to keep relevancy that way, is what it is.
Yeah, but
Because
when we were playing Yu-Gi-Oh, sorry, Star,
no, go
I
ahead, go
keep
ahead, go ahead,
cutting
go
you
ahead, go
off.
ahead. Sorry.
When we were playing Yu-Gi-Oh, it would take months for
Yeah.
a new set to come out. Hell, I think it was almost a year before Metal Raiders came out.
Yeah.
When all we had were the Kaiba and Yugi starter decks and the Blue Eyes White Dragon packs. It took
hmm
forever.
So did y'all get the just on the side to note here? Did y'all ever get the base set? Not the base set, but like the starter theme decks. There was five of them that were originally released. I had pre-ordered those that were
For
themed,
Pokemon or
yeah, for
something
Pokemon.
else.
For Pokemon.
I used to have the structure decks back in the day. Unfortunately, I don't
I don't
anymore.
have them anymore, but like
Same.
they're going for like
Yeah.
$685. I'm like,
Oh my
I'm
goodness.
kicking myself. I paid 20 bucks for my for each one or whatever it
You're
was.
talking about the original that came with the
They
holographic
were the
Machamp?
yep, or the yep, each
They were the theme decks. Like they would make two to promote like
Yeah,
certain
Jungle Deck
certain
and
and
this is
sets.
and they were before we got the base set. It was just those themed decks first.
yeah,
hmm
yeah.
And for those who don't know, but man,
I, I still have my Machamp though.
Yeah, I have three sealed somewhere.
nice.
Sadly, my best friend like absorbed my collection because we used to build decks out of all our cards. Like you said, with a friends, you just borrow cards and shit.
Well,
At one point, unfortunately, without really consulting me, he sold all of it to pay rent where he was living.
oh
And I
man.
was like, kind of like, wish you would have asked me. You know what I mean?
Right.
hmm
Because there might have been a couple cards I've been like, just give me these two, I don't, or three, and I don't care what happens. You're in a situation, right?
So did any of y'all go see the second movie? And if
I
you
went and saw all
did,
three, the first three of them.
Yeah, I did.
which
Hmm.
of the legendary birds did you get in the promo set?
I can't answer that without getting in trouble.
Uh-oh.
I
um,
went to a theater. Some girl thought I was cute, gave me like a giant stack of them, and I had a full play set for me and my friend at the time, and we each had the special Mew card.
yeah,
Okay.
Yeah, I had the
yeah.
Mew, but I know that I think it was. Let me see. I don't remember.
It was
Uh,
Moltres,
Zapdos
Zapdos,
or
and
Articuno.
Yeah.
Articuno were the three for the
Yeah.
movie
I think I
that
had
you could only get
Zapdos.
after they were out of the Mew card.
Yeah,
Yep.
I didn't get those.
I
I
got the
only
Mew
got
card
the
because I went and
ancient
saw it
Mew.
twice.
Yeah.
So
Same.
Like I said, I went like opening night for the first movie, and I had that happen, and I didn't question it. I left it alone. I was like, I think I'm a hideous fucking chode, but okay, why not?
I still have my Mewtwo. But I didn't get that at theaters. They were already gone by the time that my brother and I went. Um, we did get the ancient Mew, so that was definitely the highlight. I have the Entei card. Um,
I still
but
have a couple of those somewhere packed away in the original, like special plastic
in the
yeah,
seal.
plastic.
I have my
Wow.
Entei somewhere as well. I don't have it
Yeah.
in the plastic, but I have it sealed. I mean, I have it somewhere.
Hmm. But
So
I didn't get the legendary birds. I only got the ancient Mew.
Okay.
Charizard is going between like $600 right now.
Still okay.
Is
And
that
Still.
shadowless or basic?
That's Shadowless
Yeah.
first edition.
Hmm.
But so okay, this is what a question I want to ask. I want to kind of wrap up in the next 20 minutes, but
Hmm.
that way because it's already going long, and I know it's
Sorry.
late for well, technically, I mean, I think we're all good
We
on the
haven't even
time.
got
So
out of Viridian Forest yet.
right,
The
yeah,
second,
exactly.
the CCG
Hey,
Forest.
we may need to do a second episode. But
Dun,
do
dun,
y'all
dun,
have
dun.
a kind of a sad memory around like maybe you had your stuff stolen or maybe you lost a family member tied around Pokemon? Something that like you want to share that
Okay, I got two I could share. Which one do you want first?
Oh boy.
it's up to you, man.
Okay, the easy one is Pokemon Emerald. I tried to get into that game. I could not. I absolutely struggled. I paid full price. I was excited. I'm like, oh my god, we got
Wow.
another third entry. It's got Rayquaza on it. It's got that's for once they're doing like a whole extra section and everything.
Hmm.
I could not get into it for whatever reason. Gen 3 just has like maybe 3 or 4 Pokemon that appeal to me, and I just go away after I beat the story. It's like I don't care.
Yeah.
My second heartbreak story is I had a on and off girlfriend that turned fiance. So toxic ring, okay. Maybe even a planet as many times as we went around. Half of that relationship was based on the fact she wanted to beat me in that game. She could not beat me. Absolutely couldn't. I tried to even let her, like, oh, I accidentally made a mistake without her knowing. No, she legitimately could not beat me. It pissed her off. I feel like a chunk of our relationship was driven on the sole purpose. She wanted to beat me and wipe me out and then never want to play the game with me again.
Okay.
To this day, I'm sure she's out there somewhere plotting her pokey revenge against me, and I've moved on.
Revenge.
Wearing a Team Rocket outfit.
Right, right.
Right?
Dress as
Oh no, this
Jesse.
ain't no Team Rocket. She's like the original like Pokemon trainer with a whip and trying to be all sexy. Oh, I'm cool last
Oh,
or something. It's like no.
I thought maybe you were gonna say Team Magma or Team
Oh
Oh,
yeah,
Team
yeah.
Aqua.
Oh
Aqua,
no,
yeah.
Team Plasma. She's like in the other world, like Giratina,
Okay.
training up for that day. I come crawling in.
Hmm.
All right,
So
so who wants
who's
to go
got something?
next?
Well, mine's pretty simple. Um, I would say that probably the saddest Pokemon related memory for me is I think, yeah, right around that time, Gen 3, it's just where I felt exhausted by the whole thing. Um, it was sad for me to feel that burnout because it was such a big chunk of a part of my life where I was struggling to be happy, you know.
Yeah.
I never had any like on-site depression or anything, but high school for me sucked because I was forced to go to a school I didn't want to go to. I didn't know anybody. Um, got in trouble, got kicked out, let back in, uh, against my will. And Pokemon was kind of the one thing that, in a way, saved me at my school just because of all the BS I had to put up with, all the unnecessary high school drama. And while anime was on the rise and becoming way more mainstream, and all of us were into anime for the most part. You know, we loved our DBZ, our Pokemon, Yu-Gi-Oh, all those different ones. It was the one unifying element up until that point that really helped me build my circle of friends. And when I came out here for college, it was fizzled out by then. So it kind of felt like I had to do it all over again.
Hmm.
And I wasn't playing Pokemon as much. I did fall out of the games around Gen 3. Um, and then I just decided to buy Pearl. And then next thing you know, all of my friends here in college are playing Pearl and Diamond. We're talking about the retro games, and the boom kind of started again. I still wasn't invested in the games or the series as much at that point because I was still feeling that burnout. And plus, there was a lot more exposure to things that I didn't have growing up that all of a sudden now I was being able, to discover for the first time, rediscover, what have you. So there was really a lot of changing of the guard, so to say, with Pokemon, but I always felt like maybe if I had just kept it going for a little bit longer, maybe I wouldn't have felt that burnout, or maybe it was just past its prime for me and I had already gotten to the heights that I wanted to with with the fandom and with the games, because I definitely was starting to see there's not much variation with the games anymore. Like, yeah, you get new starters and the game takes place in a different map, but overall, it's still the same glorified cockfighting it was when I got Pokemon Blue and Red. There's nothing new and exciting about it anymore. Um, but I hadn't been hardcore glued to a game since Legends Arceus came out, and I was streaming that. You all remember, I was having a blast. I hadn't been so glued to a Pokemon game since, and it always seems like whenever I feel a burnout with Pokemon, there's like a sudden resurgence sometime later. So I guess I'd
Yep.
have to say that first burnout I felt was probably the saddest moment, but I've learned that it's going to happen regardless of what I'm into. So, might as well enjoy it.
Hmm.
Mhm.
Okay, Stark, we've bared our souls. Let's hear your Poke Soul.
Well, I mean, with the TCG, I have friends who, buy and collect, but, going back to what got me into Pokemon to begin with, going back to high school, having my friends, they showed me their game. I got addicted to it, played it. On Fridays, we would battle and trade. I've noticed the last 10, 12 years, I haven't had anyone to play the Pokemon games with. There's no fun rivalry. There's no competitiveness. It's just you play through the story, you beat it. All right, next game, right? It feels kind of dead. The what made the original so fun is no longer there. You just
Okay.
talking about playing Arceus or whatever. I bought that game and it is sitting on my shelf. I haven't even got to it yet. Sword
Okay.
and Shield. It is. I have not finished it. You know, uh, Emerald and not Emerald. The last one, Violet and
Scarlet and Violet.
Scarlet and Violet. I've not finished it
Same.
because the passion just isn't there, and it makes me
Oh,
miss the friendships I had, the rivalry, everything that made those games fun.
okay. I
You
have a
know.
solution for this one I can suggest.
All right, go ahead.
We make a DLP league of
Pokemon,
play
yeah.
group
Let's go. Let's go. I'm
Ooh,
down. I'm down.
okay.
where we can where we I mean we have Twitches. Well, they do have online.
Yep.
We can organize. Me and Zombie, when we were doing Artcast, I would literally be playing Pokemon Arc, my copy of Arceus while he was playing it, and we'd be talking like, "Oh, I just had the special whatever time distortion happen. Did you get one? No. Well, fuck you, I did. Oh, I caught the giant shiny Luxray. Well, I didn't. I got the shiny fucking Lopunny. Ha!
Right. It was actually pretty cool because in my Discord I actually opened a specific section just for Arceus, and all of us were uploading pictures of, the recent ones that we got.
Mm-hmm.
What are they called again, Josh? The big boss
Alpha.
versions, alphas. Like, hey, I got the Snorlax alpha finally, and we're showing off all the cheesy ways that we were learning how to do that, and it was fun because at that time, that was sort of the game that anybody who either played Pokemon or had never touched a Pokemon game, that was their introduction to it.
Mhm.
I
So,
mean, it's a play group. That's what you're saying is you miss having a play group of people. It sounds like to me like they're enthusiastic that you will be like, okay, I have a reason to play this, as opposed
Yeah,
to, okay, play it, shelve it. Oh, there's an event thing I can download. Okay. Like if you have somebody enthusiastic with you, it's like encouraging you or discouraging you, where you're like, oh, I'm gonna show them I can make my Snorlax way better than their Snorlax. I don't care if it's shiny.
yeah,
right.
It's a
because you
huge
you
difference.
can learn from failure. That's the thing.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Back in Pokemon Red and Blue, why did I lose? Oh, this moveset's terrible. Let me change it up, you know?
Exactly. Or, oh, I thought this sounded like an attack move. What? It's a debuff move. That doesn't do anything. I have three other debuff moves. This guy's supposed to be badass, and he's just sitting here getting wailed on
Oh, I
until
only
he
leveled
struggles.
I only leveled my starter. I didn't level anyone else.
Oh, dude, people hate me because I will sit there and I will grind at least my starter at like second stage and then grind some more. I had to tell people on Pokemon streams, look, I'm going to be leveling off stream because that's not going to be entertaining for you to see me do.
Mhm. I think we
But
could find some way to definitely, encourage that if there was a way to do like link streaming where we're all playing the same version of the
Yeah, I mean,
game,
oh, there is. It's called
you know?
screen share on a Discord recording, which means one of us would have to figure out how
yeah,
to
how
get
to,
OBS to love us all enough to share that
Right?
screen.
Because
I would be game for that.
yeah, I'll be
we've
down.
even talked about like doing deck profiles since all of us played
Hmm.
for most of us played Yu-Gi-Oh and such. Not even just doing videos, but actually just talking about them in our discords even. So, but I get what you're saying, Stark. There was a magic that was kind of lost. And I felt that for sure.
Exactly. With the
Well,
last two, there's
yeah,
no exclusivity really to trade because it's like, oh, they'll do an event that I can catch
get
the
everything.
version exclusive to in
Hmm.
my game. Why would I bother?
Yeah, because I mean, I have all of them. I mean, as far as
Oh,
the,
dude, I have like the special versions for the last three games they've done, where it's like the dual pack or whatever.
hmm
But at the
I
same time, it's like I'm gonna only play one. I'm gonna try to get my brother to play the other one. Good luck there, but try. But let's hear Vince bear his disappointment in soul with Pokemon.
well, did Stark have anything else you wanted to add to that story, or just missing the
No,
moment of friends?
I
Okay.
mean, honestly, that's what it is. It's you just kind of mindlessly play through those games, and the passion's not there anymore.
Um, so mine isn't like I never really lost interest in Pokemon. It's just that it was more on the lines that I just didn't have time for it. Other RPGs were coming out, and I wanted to play those more, and then I would come back and play them and stuff. But like for me, my saddest moment, like it kind of grinds my gears a little bit, but there was a period of time when my my junior year of high school, I worked at Game Crazy.
Lucky.
And I, you know, it was cool because you get access to games that came in and stuff was cheap back then. That's actually how I got like my booster box, my the Basic 2 and the Team Rocket booster box. And I had a complete set of Basic 1, Fossil, uh, Jungle, and a binder. I was like two binders. And I also had the my Pokemon Yellow copy with my Pikachu edition Game Boy Color. And that was my first Game Boy. I had a friend, so-called friend, came over to my house one day whenever I was getting changed to go, and he stole that stuff.
Mm.
Oh,
Oh,
I never got it back.
that's some low shit right there.
Yep.
And not only that, so he also took some other stuff. Like we had like the Dragon Ball PS1, Ultimate Battle 22, GT, and what was the other one? Legends. That we went to a place and bought them, and then we imported one of them. Well, he took those games, traded them into my job. My buddy James calls me up and says, "Hey man, there's some games here that look suspiciously like they're yours." So my dad drives me up there because I was off that day. Sure enough, they were ours. And we had to go in and look in the fact of like who did this because like how did these get from our house to here? Because I had no clue who it was. Could have been any one of my friends. I had friends over at my house all the time. Well, it happened to be this one guy. And my dad called him up and said, "Look, we can either call the cops or you can trade your stuff in because they couldn't just give it to us. They couldn't reverse the transaction and then give us the items. It had to
Yeah,
be
they couldn't
traded
take a
for."
loss.
So he had to go. He had the option to either have the cops called or to trade in enough to get those stuff on for us. And it really sucked because I felt bad because it's like his brother was really cool. He couldn't believe his brother did this. And like he had to go home and like he brought in like his PlayStation 64, all this stuff just to make enough to trade these out because we were the only Game Crazy store at the time that I know of that sold imports. We were the test case for every other Game Crazy throughout the US. But and like It completely ended our friendship. It was horrible. And his brother basically disowned his older brother. And it was horrible because like I lost a friend, but then I lost my stuff and I never got any of it back. And then like so prior to I mean, just after that, I had that Pokemon event that happened, the one we were just talking about earlier, where I was like, okay, well, there's a tournament. So I went and found me a copy of Pokemon Blue because I didn't have my yellow copy. And I started from scratch. So I literally got my characters up as fast as I could to 99 or whatever level 100, and then I used that at the tournament. But I wish I had my original set because I worked on those. I felt passionate about what I did, and it was like
Oh
I felt
yeah.
like I did a rush job on these other set of Pokemon. But it just sucks. It's one of those things I wish I don't really mind losing the cards, but I wish I still had my Pokemon Yellow
Oh yeah.
and that Pokemon Pikachu Edition Game Boy. I still don't own it. I haven't gone back to pick it up. It's just one of the things that I'd love to have back in my collection. It would
At
be a
least you had it.
yeah, I at least had it. Yes, I did. I
Oh
have the
yeah.
manual somewhere, but beyond that though, I did have other great memories of Pokemon. You know, especially like later in life where when I met my wife before we started got married, we played Diamond and Pearl and so it was great. You know, we've played all the games after that, but it's just, I only really have her to play with. I have my buddy James sometimes, but it's been a while since I've actually challenged him online because he was my only rival. So, but
Fair enough.
huh?
Fair enough.
Fair enough. Yeah, okay. But yeah, that's my sad memory of having my stuff stolen from a friend and losing a friendship over it. So,
My only question, since you brought this up, your wife is not sleeping next to you going, I'm going to destroy him in our next battle. He
no.
doesn't know it's coming.
No, she does not tell
There's
me
not
that she's
that
going to destroy
awkward relationship where you have to wonder every time you boot up the game with her,
No.
oh man, am I sleeping on the couch tonight if I lose?
No. And
Wife
it's
walks. Wife walks into the room.
she's right here
Dun, 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 dun,
about
dun.
Pokemon, about when you challenge me on Pokemon.
Hey, you're wearing
You kick your
shorts.
ass.
Huh? You're going to try to kick my ass.
My Pokemon are strong.
See?
Oh, here we go. And thus begins the DLP
I
League.
know the truth.
Right. Um,
Dun, dun, dun,
but I mean,
dun,
it's been
dun.
great getting to show this to my son and everything and having all
Yeah.
that stuff. He tries to fight me, but I got to teach him. I
Not
gotta
in
teach
my
him.
dojo, son. Not in
Yeah.
mine.
Gonna learn the hard way.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Well, segueing from the sadness since we brought up the game cards, and I really want to see if anyone gets this. Out of the original American Pokemon released games, the core ones, not spin-offs like Emerald or not Emerald, spin-offs like the
Mystic Dungeon.
TCG on Game Boy Color, Pinball, Coliseum, and 64 kind of games. Which one do you think had the lowest units sold?
Oh yeah.
This is
Ooh.
going from Game Boy to Switch.
Oh man.
I'm gonna say Pearl.
I
That's a
had give
good-
him. Yeah, go ahead, Zombie.
I
Sorry.
was just gonna say that's a good guess.
I missed it. If somebody said gave an answer.
I said Pokemon Pearl.
Okay, so starts locking in with Pearl. What about you, Vince?
I had said Emerald, and you already told me that wasn't it. So I'm gonna go with.
Oh no, you didn't say Emerald. You said Crystal.
Oh, Crystal. I did say Crystal. I did say Crystal. My official for the podcast, I'm gonna say Leaf Green.
Okay. What about you, Zombie?
Oh man. Damn. Pearl would have been my guess.
Everyone can lock in the same answer. It's not a problem.
Let me think, because so are we talking lowest amount sold upon release or in general?
Just in general, what's been recorded and officially shared has, and mind you, this is in the millions, but with the numbers that have been recorded and published.
Oh man.
You don't have to give a number. You just have to pick one of any of the
just
Game
one of
Boy
the entries.
games or the core from Game Boy to Switch. No spin-offs.
Game Boy to Switch, no spin-offs.
This is where I wish we had some Jeopardy music.
I know this is.
Ba-ba-ba.
I'm gonna say, since Stark said Pearl,
Uh-huh.
I'm gonna say Black and White.
Okay. Vince is going to be upset with himself, but it was Pokemon Emerald.
Wow, and I
He
did
Really?
locked
say
it
it.
in. So
I did say it. I didn't lock it in.
you had
Wow.
said
Mm.
that, but then you said because you said you said that earlier, and I said no. Earlier you said Crystal.
Yeah, I did
Then
say
you locked
Crystal.
in Leaf Green as your final answer
Yeah,
when you should have listened to your gut that
I
said
should. I did.
split
I
it
should
out.
have. Because it does fit in
Six
that category
six
because that
point
was the
thirty
one.
two units sold for
Wow.
Pokemon Emerald was recorded.
Yeah, because
That
everybody
is the
had
lowest
Oh.
one sold.
Sapphire and Ruby, so
Yeah.
it was one of the ones that.
Crystal would have been close at 6.39 million.
So that one, yeah, they're within a few units of each other. Okay.
Yeah,
Zombie was probably the furthest out because his had over 15.6 million
million.
sold.
Wow.
Mm, damn.
Hmm.
Pearl and Diamond were 17.6 million. And then Fire Red Leaf Green had 12 million sold.
Okay.
Really?
That's shocking, but not surprising that, I couldn't afford, for me personally, it was like, couldn't really afford back then Crystal, but I do have a copy of Crystal.
Yeah, I still got mine.
I don't have mine
But
CIB.
anymore.
Emerald, I had like no real love for, and it shows in the numbers. Wow.
Yeah. Well, and it's because like you look at the window when that came out, right? I think it was
Hmm.
almost like a year before,
Let's
or maybe a little
see.
bit more before.
No, same year it was released as
Oh,
Fire
same
Red
year.
Leaf Green.
Oh yeah, same really to that. But as far as when Sapphire and Ruby came out,
Was
it.
2002.
And then when was Emerald?
Emerald was 2004, so 2 year gap to jump
2 year
away
gap.
from.
Yeah. So it's really hard for people to go back and double buy something unless you're a really hardcore fan.
Yeah, I was a
Yeah.
broke college student at that time.
Then it's
When
like the reason Diamond, Pearl, and Platinum worked out because there wasn't a game that went to a different region in between. It was like, okay, 2 years later, Platinum came out after Diamond and Pearl, but we're still focused in that region.
Yep.
I'm
We're not
still,
changing it up.
And it had more. It had some better content. I think there was more content
yeah,
in it that was
The
in.
story was way better than
Yeah.
and had better
yeah.
Pokemon designs than the
Yep.
That's
third.
why that's why it's so surprising that, because it was always, if you didn't get the first two, you always got the third game because that was going to have everything that was missing from the first two games. The only
hmm
exception being was that Yellow was more based off the anime,
Cartoon. Yep.
Yeah.
and
That was
that
its
Well, I
in
loved it.
itself
creation.
was really cool.
Yeah, I loved it. It was so good.
Uh-huh.
Yellow's creation was done with the purpose of associating with the popularity of the anime.
hmm
Right.
The
But
design, it was
so
getting that customer base associated even more.
with Pokemon Yellow, though, couldn't Pikachu learn moves outside of the normal move list?
He
Like,
could learn
Learn
fly
surf,
from a certain
Surf.
thing, and he could
yeah.
learn if
surf.
you put your Pokemon Yellow and you beat the trials on, I believe it was the first N64 Stadium game,
Hmm.
you could teach your Pikachu to surf.
Yep.
Yeah.
Wow.
And
Mhm.
he had a different like animation sprite style.
Yeah, he
Yeah.
Oh,
has surfboard because there was a mini game once you had a surfing Pikachu in Stadium that you could play where it was like surfing, like almost like TLC Surf Designs surfing game where it was just a side scroller where you could surf
Yep.
with your Pikachu.
Yeah. Man, that's crazy though that Emerald and Crystal were the lower selling games specifically
But their
because
Omega and Alpha versions in 2014, 14.6 million units were sold.
Yeah.
really. So no matter
Yeah,
what
but that's
they
also because that was one of the first Pokemon games that had a digital download that they could count.
yeah.
interesting.
So no matter what format it was on, I guess Ruby and Sapphire don't have that demanding base like the others do.
Nope.
I think also too is it was such a transition because it was like there was such a long gap between like gold and silver
Whole different group of kids were playing
yeah.
it by that time.
Yeah.
And like I remember I got that game going to I think I picked up Ruby. No, I picked up Sapphire. That's what it was. My buddy picked up Ruby, but we both picked it up the same day. We were going out to El Paso to take a friend to go see his girlfriend for some event she was doing. And that was a whole story. It was hilarious. But I just remember like playing it in the day, and then at night it was like nothing because I had that first Game Boy Advance with no no backlit. I was like,
Oh
all right, I
yeah.
can't play at all.
Let me ask you this before we wrap up. Did your Game Boy have all the attachments for it?
Which one?
Of the
Handy boy.
Yeah, the
No, are
mirror.
we talking about original Game Boy, Game Boy Color, Game
Original
Boy
original
Advance?
Game Boy. Did it have like
Brick.
the life support? Yeah, with the big
The OG brick.
speakers.
Okay.
Yeah,
I
Yeah.
yeah.
I used to, but then somebody yanked the cord out of it, so I couldn't plug it into my Game Boy anymore. I had the
Ooh.
little slides on your belt charging battery that you plugged into the phone jack or whatever.
Mhm.
Oh yeah.
I had that, and I damn well had a fucking magnifying glass that lit up.
I only had the magnifying glass, the one made by Newbie, if I recall. It had the magnifying glass and it had the light, which
Okay.
perfect because now I don't have to hold my Game Boy under every street light hoping to get a few seconds in,
Yep.
you
Oh,
know.
dude.
So
Part of my bad vision, I know, is because I'd sit there in the darkness and fucking just focus on that screen as hard as I could.
Yep.
'Cause I'm like going, I am going to keep going, damn it.
the
Unless my batteries die, we're going broke here.
Late night grind.
so when I got the my second Game Boy because my Game Boy Color because the other one was stolen,
Mhm.
they had an attachment that you could take off the thing and actually have a front lit screen. And
Wow.
I paid for that and did it on my Game Boy Color, and I had that for a while, and it was nice, but I didn't have that attachment on my on the Game Boy Advance though.
Fancy. My Game
Yeah.
Boy Color only had the little what do they call those, worm
The
lights?
worm lights,
The
yeah,
worm
Yep.
we
lights?
Yeah.
sold tons of those to kids.
Yeah. I only had one of
Oh,
those.
dude. My God bless my mother, and when she was there wasn't online delivery for groceries and shit. There would be like Dollar Trees and stuff in our area next to the supermarket. She would hit up for things that were cheaper than the other supermarket down the street. She'd go in there. For whatever reason, tons of those worm lights, link cables, rechargeable little clip to the back battery pack, magnifying glass. She'd buy that shit up. So if one broke, she's like,
Had a
here.
backup.
I'm like, okay. I can't find my link cable. I need my link cable for the Pokemon League this Saturday. Here. It's like
That's awesome.
that is a market sadly that died.
hmm
Mhm.
I mean, they were only like what,
Wireless and
12, 15
backlit screens
bucks. They
murdered
weren't
it.
expensive.
No, no. But I know that we were always having at least one or two on hand,
Yeah,
just in the offset that somebody needed one when we were traveling.
Exactly.
right.
Well, to also be fair, it wasn't like they were well made. I mean,
No.
No.
But they
considering
served the
they were
purpose.
flexy and you're putting them into a port. I mean, and then one of them you're stretching across between two different units.
Yeah.
hmm Well, guys, anything y'all want to say for before we end the episode? And then I guess we could come back for another episode and talk deeper into this. We really kind of focused on the card game, but
Mhm.
We will be leaving TCG Forest next episode.
yeah.
Will we ever make it to Anime Gym City? Find out
Right.
next time.
Will we finally get to Pewter City?
Safari
Will
Zone.
DLP manage to still have his Zombachu, his Starkly, and whatever Josh is? We're not really
Starkly.
sure.
There we go.
He switched.
All right, that's something for Stark to draw us as our favorite Pokemon.
Ah.
But
Well,
yeah.
when we did Artcast, Josh has Marshadow and I have Mew with, basically my aviators and long hair. So
Yes, I
Zom
had
Mew.
glasses on. That was my
Yeah.
big difference there.
Josh Shadow and Zom Mew. But
That's awesome.
We'll come back
yeah.
eventually to those characters. They'll come back.
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
we've got some ideas for like my stream has taken a rest for right now, but there's talks about bringing Artcast back and a few other things in the works, focusing on Pokemon and other things too. So, yeah. I'm dead, but I'm still alive in some ways.
And
Hence
Yeah,
hence
you
the
can find
zombie.
those.
I'm
Go ahead.
open to play Pokemon with you guys again, or if y'all
Oh,
want
hell
to.
yeah.
Yeah, we can do that. We can pick
Give
a
me a
night and
reason to
start
put it in
playing.
my Switch.
Hmm.
Absolutely.
I
Yeah,
mean, other than
we
wanting
go
ZA,
let's go back to where it all started. We'll
Ooh.
each pick our starter. Whether we grind on stream or on camera or not is completely up to us. Yeah, let's have a go at it.
Well, we got the new one coming out soon in October too, which is the
um,
ZA Legends.
yeah,
Hmm.
I'm hoping
So
it's going to be as fun as Arceus Legends.
Yes. I still need to finish my Arceus game. Ugh.
Like, damn, that game was a lot of fun.
Yes, it was.
yeah, so we'll figure out a plan, guys, and we'll have some kind of Pokemon stream on all of our channels, but all of us playing together and battling in a room.
Starting our Pokemon journey.
Our
I
Pokemon journey
choose
left in
you,
somebody's
Pikachu.
basement.
Yeah,
Welcome to the world of Pokemon.
and then we can all start. Yeah, we can all start the episode as singing the Pokemon song.
Don't forget your
Oh God!
underwear.
Beware
Ash,
the jiggly snuff. Beware the jiggly snuff.
Ash, I've been spending a lot of time with your mother.
Pretty much.
No, one last thing. I remember we were going to do a skit show for my channel a long time ago, and we had this one idea of awful Professor Oak, where he accidentally sneezes and blows out a Charmander's tail, and he goes, "Oh God, not another one."
Look, it's Charmander's mother. Boo.
Oh man. So guys, this was fun. Thanks for coming on and everything. Everyone,
Absolutely.
if you enjoyed this episode, and want us to come back and talk more Pokemon, I'll happily ask these guys to come back on. A link to their channels will be down below. But if you guys want to, share out your channels, self-promote a little bit before we close out, go for it.
Who wants to go first? Come on, Stark. You can do it. I believe in you.
You can catch me at the Sanctum Starktorum, where all that's evil and unfair is waiting for you.
Clap, 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 clap. Okay, Zombro, let's do it.
Well, I've got nothing really to promote.
That's
Like I said, as far as I'm concerned, my channel is taking a rest right now, but there is plans for a resurrection soon. For those of you who may or may not know, I am in the process of relocating right now, which is going to put uh, relaunching the channel on hold again. But once we get settled, we'll be sure to definitely be in the works with not only my streaming, but um, the various podcasts that I have helped co-host. So, keep an eye out for that. Of course, we're very active in my Discord as well. So, feel free to chat with us there. Um, all of our Discords are pretty much linked to one another. So if you can't find me one place, you'll probably see me somewhere else. And most of the time, I devote my time to work and supporting all you guys. So you'll see me. I'm everywhere.
You'll find me in my digital graveyard gates will open at some point. It's very random, but I'm here on YouTube. I was fiddling around on Twitch, but I've been out of practice for a bit. I've had stuff going on, but I try. I struggle. I'm probably the only technically VTuber person in this room right now.
Yet.
But
Yeah.
I play a lot of RPGs. I am not a speedrunner. I am not an NDR person. If that stuff happens, cool. If not, not my objective. Um, like Vince said, I'm sure he'll have a link there.
Yep.
We will definitely. It sounds like if people are interested, maybe we will have a DLP league going
Pokemon
on.
League going. Yeah, we can do
Yeah.
that.
We'll
We
have
can do
to
that.
find out whose basement's hosting it, though, and
Right.
then Vince's gonna have to kidnap us all.
Yeah,
Because we're gonna go co-op couch.
I'm gonna have to go steal the portal gun and like make it so where I can go here, there, and then
I got
Well,
my
that's how
portal gun
conventions
on the
work,
wall.
right? Suddenly it's DLP convention con. What the hell? How'd that happen? Some dudes on a podcast decided to start a league and it kind of snowballed out of control.
Isn't that what we all
Yeah.
hope for? That things would just stumble out of control for all of us, each of us, not just
We're
me.
all getting. It sounds like we're all getting older, where we can't bounce back from anarchy as easily.
Right. But yeah, you guys, well, everyone, thank you for checking out the episode. We'll be back next week with the main cast, but you guys have a great week. We'll catch you later.
Bye.
See ya.
Until next time, stay tuned.
Will our heroes survive the fire? No.
Right.